Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's episode of the ZodWriter Show. I'm with me tonight, and as always, my co-host Johnny Alpha has joined me on this great evening. I'm so excited because we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Now, of course, we are going to delve into the whole fascinating conundrum that is the numbers regarding the Snyderverse, which I know that's one of Johnny's favorite topics. Uh, so we'll definitely delve into that. We're supposed to have a pretty interesting panel tonight, so I'm excited that we could be here doing this. How you been doing, Johnny?
I've been doing fine, yeah. Especially since I took you and Koje's advice after we got off the phone Sunday night. I watched or last Tuesday night, Sunday night. What the hell am I thinking? I watched Mortal Kombat, and yeah,
Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to talk a little bit about Mortal Kombat then. I'm always down to talk about Mortal Kombat in certain places, especially considering what that movie turned out to be. And Belle Reeve Mendez says, "What's up? What's up, Belle? Good to see you." Great live stream yesterday, by the way. Belle does some amazing work. Definitely check her out on YouTube if you get a chance. She's definitely awesome. So yeah, that's something else. She had a really good live stream the other night. She says, "I'm at the gym. This better be good." Well, I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's good. Belle, I'm glad to have you here. And Sean Franklin says, "Hi, what's up, Sean? Good to see you, man." Well, I guess you know what. Since we're awaiting our vast panel to arrive that we're supposed to have tonight, which will be interesting because that's when we'll start getting into the heavy discussion about the Snyderverse numbers. I guess we could talk a little bit about Mortal Kombat since you got a chance to check it out. So, what do you think, Johnny?
you guys were right. It was terrible, but like in a great way. In my opinion, it reminded me of like the kind of cheap action adventure movies they'd make when I was a kid, like stuff that companies like Canon would put out. Especially when Shang Tsung was meeting with his underlings in Outworld. I totally got reminded of the what's it called, Masters of the Universe film from when I was a little kid. The Dolph
I love
Lundgren
that.
one
I
with.
love that comparison with the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe because that's a movie that I still watch from time to time to this day. I really do like that film. And, a lot of the sequences with Skeletor and his minions do kind of remind me of what they did in this Warner Brothers Mortal Kombat reboot. I don't know. I got to ask you, Johnny, what Mortal Kombat movie do you think is better at this point? You think the reboot or the 1995
Oh,
original one?
I still prefer the Paul W.S. Anderson
Oh,
original, of course.
absolutely. I feel like when you compare those two movies side by side, the 1995 Mortal Kombat is a masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, until recently, it was the only video game movie we ever had that actually tried to represent what it was trying to be. I mean, I like Super Mario and a lot of the ones that Kojay brought up, but they really didn't represent the game they were supposed to be. Whereas Paul W.S. Anderson, he really tried his damnedest to make Mortal Kombat, and I can't really say the same for this newest one. It was like, it's kind of funny to me that like Warner Brothers was such the big deal when we were kids, and like Canon's always seen as a joke, but like modern day Warner Brothers is on par with 1980s Canon
Canon,
film. Yeah,
although
it's
Canon, to their credit, made better movies.
yeah.
I have to say it. They made better movies, and between Canon and, for example, like Roger Corman was making movies back then in the 70s and 80s, and I always talk about Roger Corman's Fantastic Four as being the greatest Marvel movie to ever get released. Um, and I still stand by that because it actually never did get an official release. But I only mention it and bring it up as a cheesy reference because we're talking about the modern Mortal Kombat release, and it is absolutely pretty, pretty on par. What's up, Anthony? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being here in the chat today to join us. This is great, man. I love when we have great chat participation. It's always awesome when when we can interact and everybody seems excited and cares about the topic, and it's a great time. But yes, I love it though. I think the fact that we're getting the fact that we're getting stuff like this, cheesy Mortal Kombat done in the style of canon, almost like that's who they're trying to replicate. Would you agree with that? Would you think that they're trying to replicate canon from the 1980s, Johnny?
You'd have to kind of think that that's what they were going for, because that's all I got from it. Is like, this reminds me so much of like what they would have called a cheap movie when I was a kid. You know what I mean? The cheap trash movie from canon, or like I could see maybe one of Corman's companies like Blue Concord, or what was the other one? New World. New
World was the one that put out the Fantastic Four. I'll never forget that New World logo. And Belle says that she still hasn't seen it. I believe you're referring to the new Mortal Kombat movie. You haven't seen that? Well,
give it a shot.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy, and if you like cheesy, nonsensical stuff, that's just. I look at it.
Some of the casting is great though, man. Like the kid that played Liu Kang was great. The kid that played Kung Lao was good. I think that a lot of the fights were decent. It's just the main character and like the story beats were very generic.
Well, if you turn your brain off for 2 hours, you'll have fun. Because right. I'll admit, and I said this before, I took my Mortal Kombat fandom out of this. I'm a big, huge Mortal Kombat fan, particularly the original arcade game. I live and die with that game. I've played that game almost every day of my life, particularly these last couple of years. I just love the arcade game to this day. It outshines everything that they've done past it. I'd be completely okay if there was never another Mortal Kombat video game apart from the first one that we got back in the 90s, because I love that game so much. And I will say, when I watched Mortal Kombat, I enjoyed like the beginning of it, like the way that it started off. Like once we got past, the Scorpion and Sub-Zero mythology type stuff, the way it developed into this chase where Sub-Zero was almost like this psycho killer chasing after this family man who had no idea what the heck was going on. I kind of enjoyed that from a thriller movie kind of perspective, and I really didn't like. Again, I took my Mortal Kombat fandom out of it completely because I didn't want to really. I knew that if I went into the movie expecting it to be great on par with the Mortal Kombat games, it would be horrible, and that I wouldn't like it. And that's basically how it turned out. Like, it was one of those movies where it was spot on in terms of what I thought as far as being a diehard original Mortal Kombat fan, especially because there was no Johnny Cage in the movie. I mean, that to me was a really, really big mistake on their part, for them to introduce a new character and make that new character central to everything, and the character doesn't have anything to do with the games. I'm reminded of a book, a Mortal Kombat novelization that was written back when when the original games were still popular, and it was just called Mortal Kombat, and it was written by a writer who used to write video game strategy guides named Jeff Rovin, and Jeff Rovin wrote this book. Okay, and it was just called Mortal Kombat. It had the original Mortal Kombat logo on it, the original font. It's not the novelization of the 1995 movie. It's a straight-up novel attempting to adapt the lore and the mythology of like the first two Mortal Kombat games. So if you're interested in that, the book is written in a really over-the-top epic kind of way with like lengthy, odd, godlike descriptions of stuff. It's really over the top. But the reason I bring it up in relation to this Mortal Kombat movie is because it is it leaves out, main character. It leaves out Johnny Cage. It centers around Sonya, Liu Kang, Kano, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Kung Lao, and a lot of mythological Mortal Kombat characters that are, and also a lot of Chinese and Japanese mythology that we don't necessarily, see too much here in the United States. It's an interesting book, but it does the same kind of thing that this movie does, in that it tries to tell its own story apart from what Mortal Kombat actually is, while at the same time trying to satisfy fans with, brutal fights and fatalities and things. And that's one thing that I think Jeff Roven's book also did pretty well. Have you ever heard of that novelization, Johnny?
No, it actually sounds pretty interesting.
You should download it. It's available for free. If you look up the book, you look up Mortal Kombat by Jeff Roven. This is for anybody who's interested in the book. You can actually click on this I think it's like an Internet Archive webpage, and you can actually download a copy of the book and send it directly to, like, if you have like the Amazon Kindle app or the whatever, and you could just send it directly to whatever book reader you normally will read on your phone or your tablet or whatever, and you can just read it, or you can download like a PDF and read it on your PC. And it is literally, I mean, it's an interesting read. It really is. It's really strange the way he describes it. I mean, it's almost as if this author was trying to go for something as big and as epic as possible. Where there's like a lot of run-on sentences in the book. A lot of the descriptions are so massive and huge that you're reading it thinking, my God, this guy was a big fan of Mortal Kombat, of the original video games as well. So I don't know.
The one thing that tripped me about the movie is it was kind of made in a way for people who didn't know shit about the comics. I mean, about the games and the lore.
So used to talking about these DC movies, yeah, like the comics.
to get involved. But the problem is they used all these weird niche characters that you'd actually have to be a fan and know the lore to know who, like Cabal and some of the villains that show up in it.
What did you think of Cabal?
He was my favorite part of the film. Yeah, he was. He's a fucking asshole. I hate him. You'll love him though. Like him and Kano were so great together. Like I liked Kano okay, but I thought Cabal was actually the best part of the film.
That's the character I thought you would resonate with the most when you said you hadn't seen it. The funny part about Cabal is that he's just I would have liked to have seen him in a more accurate, like, costume to how he looks in the games, but I was okay with his character being in there. I mean, but I kind of thought you were going to be disappointed because there was no Stryker. I know how much you love Stryker, Johnny, so
I just wanted to see a good Stryker fatality. So as long as they do that in part 2, which is coming.
Well, obviously part 2 is coming, and we know we've got Johnny Cage coming in part 2. So I'm super excited about that because I am like a huge Johnny Cage fan. So,
and it's actually going to be about a tournament this time.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. It was like the cartoon. Okay, did you ever see the cartoon Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins?
That's the one you told me about, where like it ends right when they start fighting, right?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it, but like I remember you telling me about it.
It is. I watched it again yesterday in preparation for this show because I knew you would have watched Mortal Kombat and we could talk about it. Anthony here says Cole better die in the next 5 minutes in the next Mortal Kombat movie. I hope so too, Anthony. I'm with you. I want to see Baraka cut him up a la Coleslaw. That's what I want. I want coleslaw out of Cole in the first 5 minutes I want it almost to be for Cole, not anybody else, because I did kind of like the casting otherwise, but anybody else like Cole, I want to see Cole literally be killed off Annihilation style.
Well, I think
Like
that's how they're gonna bring Scorpion back for good. Like they're gonna have to butcher Cole terribly to get like Scorpion to be able to stay up from hell type of mojo
I kind of
thing,
think
right?
that's what they're going to do too. I think they're going to use Cole as a plot device to bring the real Scorpion back, because yeah, you're right. Once they made it clear, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, that Cole was a descendant of Scorpion, and he had his Aquaman armor and all that kind of stuff. Once they made that clear, which his armor was actually a plot device, by the way, I think once they made that clear, it made it more and more difficult for us to really get any more of Scorpion's story, because they're gonna lean more on Cole. So I agree with Anthony here. I would like to see Coleslaw, definitely. And oh my Diaz, what's up, man? Good to see you. He says, I left a big dislike. Okay, well, you've been kind of trolling everybody, so I would feel left out if you weren't trolling me too. So Eddie, it's okay. I don't fault you, man. There's no shame in what you do, because it seems to be working for you. The guy is getting all kinds of views on YouTube now. So hey, congratulations to you, Eddie. You seem to have found a formula that's working for you. So that's awesome. And Rel McMillan says, I feel like I've been waiting for this stream for an eternity. What's up, everyone? What's up, Rel? I'm so sorry, man. I was going to do this stream, kind of took many different forms. At one point, I was going to do it as a Q&A with ZodWriter over the weekend. And I was going to talk a little bit about my hatred for WB and basically start screaming from the top of my lungs from the beginning to the end of it of how we should be canceling HBO Max and all that. But I've since refined my position on that. And that was the reason why I decided to wait, because I knew that if I went off half-cocked and just did that anger stream, like a lot of people have been doing, Rel, if I did that anger stream, it would have made me look bad in the end. And I'm tired of it. I don't want to look bad. I want to try to do more positive streams. I want to try to be more optimistic, but at the same time, I'm like Johnny here. I just got to be honest about how I feel about things. And I was so angry at HBO Max, and quite frankly, I was a little bit upset with Zack Snyder too. I was mad at WB. I was mad all the way around. So I kind of felt like if I did that stream, it really wouldn't have been a good thing. So I decided I would just wait and just do it on Tuesday when I got Johnny here and possibly some other people to kind of go with, and to talk to all of you too. And I wasn't sure. And that's why I feel it's never really a good thing to jump into doing a live stream when you're angry. Because I don't know about you, Johnny, but I've had a few like that where I've gone off and did a live stream where I was super angry, and then you come off looking like a jerk at the end, like, dude, what was wrong with that guy? What was his problem? So I don't know.
Well, I don't think you came off that way last week. I think.
Well,
that
no, I was more angry.
Yeah,
but I was more angry on the weekend because I was seeing more stuff, because there were numbers that had come out that it showed that the Snyder cut had been watched by like 4.2 million within like the first 3 days of release. And it was like, there were all kinds of big numbers that were coming out that have been tabulated, and independent firms that have kind of been, putting out the real numbers that Warner Brothers refuses to put out. And I just was so angry that it was like, man, I felt like if I did this, it was going to be one of the worst streams. And I mean, not worst streams in terms of content, because I'm sure people would have enjoyed me ranting and raving like a lunatic, but it would have been extremely negative, and I just did not want to go down that road. Speaking of negative, hey Eddie, what's going on, man? Yeah. There we go. That's our resident negative right there. He's definitely a toxic fan if I ever seen one. What's up with you, man? Are you laying down listening to the stream? Just chilling. What's going on, bro? We got baby girl. What's going on? Good to see you. Jacob Ludi, how you doing, man? It's always a pleasure having you here. Uh, let's see here. Trying to get everybody. We got a lot of people conversating here. Bell says, smash that like button. Thank you, Bell. I appreciate the support. You are awesome.
Yeah, we always have such nice people in the chat, man. That's what I always love about this
I
show, man. The
know.
chat rocks here.
Yes, everybody is so awesome and so cool. I've never met so many great people. It's amazing. And you know, and Bell, well, you probably know by now, but I made you a mod because you are just so super awesome. The irregular Neil, what's up, man? This is a dude that's gonna be probably gonna be jumping on, joining us a little bit later. Just so anybody knows, anybody in the chat that wants to jump on the live stream, the link is in the description. So you are more than welcome to jump on, and I'll bring you here in the panel. We're talking about all this great stuff. Right now we're talking about Mortal Kombat, but I'm sure once we get a more robust panel, we'll probably jump into the Snyderverse situation that Johnny loves so much. I know, dude. It's like we're sitting here talking
man.
about it.
Yeah, all I'm saying, dude, we got Army of the Dead this month.
Yes.
Snyderverse, dude. There is another Snyderverse, people, and it's about zombies, and it's got a tiger in it, and it's on Netflix, and it's gonna kick mad asses. And while yes, I know everybody likes the Justice League, I mean, dude, Zack's working. Zack's kicking ass.
Yes, he is.
Support this shit.
And this is what calmed me down more than anything else this weekend. All I could think about, Johnny, was we're getting Army of the Dead. To hell with HBO Max, to hell with WB. I don't care what this screwy studio does. We've got the Army of the Dead universe. That's a reason to be excited. It's not just one movie. It's like a franchise of stuff. There's an anime coming out. There's a prequel movie. There's all kinds of things that Zack is working on for this. And he's also working on a Viking Norse anime with Jay Oliva. So I'm looking forward to that as well. That's
the guy that does Castlevania, right?
No, that's the guy that did that directed the Dark Knight Returns animated movie.
Okay.
So he's a good dude. I mean, he was basically the storyboard artist for the majority of Zack Snyder's films. So it's going to be interesting to see Zack delve into Viking mythology with this anime. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine how dope that's going to be?
I can't wait to see him get back into it. I mean, he's a master at it. I mean, I talked to you about this a lot in private, but I don't think I've said it like live on air. Like, my favorite part of the Snyder Cut is the flashback war, man, and just seeing Zeus portrayed just so powerfully. That is like the coolest film rendering of Zeus I've ever seen, just shooting the lightning out of his hands, just and like that is so gangster. And it just took me back to being like, dude, 300 was so good. And like to hear that he's going to be doing Viking shit now, like going Norse with it, that's cool. He's a good guy. He has a pretty fun. He likes to use history in fun ways. I won't say he keeps it historically accurate, but what the hell? He's an entertainer and he's an artist. So I'll watch whatever the hell he does, to tell you the truth. Like, Zack rocks.
And you know, speaking of Zack rocks, it looks like the people in our chat tonight are really consumed with tacos and dinner. So that's cool. You know, dinner is awesome. I'm glad you all had tacos. I had tacos the other day. I didn't have tacos today. I had some sort of frozen pizza with like some sort of marinara dip or something today. It was pretty good. What'd you have for dinner, Johnny?
I had tacos.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I mean, it was like actually kind of like chicken fajitas. Like, yeah, I did a whole chicken and then like tore it up. And you ever had like pollo locos? I basically did that, but like at my own house.
Okay, man, it's been a while since I had a pollo loco. I haven't been to California in so long, man. And
Me
they
neither. I ain't
and
been
they
since 2005. I mean, so
oh my god, and that would be like the best chicken ever. I miss that chicken, dude, for real. It was good stuff. Oh my god. What's up, Cisco? If you want to join us, man, the link is in the description, bro. And I think I sent you a DM on Twitter as well if you want to join. And what's up? All Zack Snyder Justice League have a huge success on China now, almost 7 million views. Yes, that was something that I just seen today. Almost 7,000. Yeah, that's huge. 7 million views in China. That's amazing. Again, Warner Brothers. That's another thing. Warner Brothers did not want Zack Snyder's Justice League in China because they knew once it blows up in China. And not only that, you got Fiona Zhang, the woman responsible for the whole Snyder Cut movement in the first place. You don't think she was doing her part to pump this movie up in China? Are you kidding me? That movie is going to be one of the biggest hits China's ever seen, and I literally can't wait. I mean, WB is just looking more and more incompetent, and like they're run by the biggest losers ever. I mean, it's incredible to me. And let's see here. And Josh is saying the Flash script may have leaked. Well, I don't know.
oh man,
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not really interested one way or the other. I'm not going to read it.
That reminds me of when we met, man. You remember the Nolan Wars? Remember when the Dark Knight Rises script supposedly leaked?
Oh.
And our buddy Eli, and Lucius dies! Alfred dies! Batman takes off his mask! Everybody believed that shit. Like, none of that happened.
Oh, yeah. None of the stuff in the leaked Dark Knight Rises script was true. So I don't know. The Flash... But see, it wouldn't. But you know what? It wouldn't shock me if this was true about the Flash, only because WB is such an incompetent studio that at this point, it's
Well, I figure like if it reads like a canon movie from the 1980s, that's probably the real script for the Flash. If it's how you'd expect like Roger Corman to put it out, like back in 1986, then it's probably the real script.
What's up, Truth? Good to see you, man. This is another guy right here. All of you great people, you have to understand that I just added on my YouTube channel featured channels, and I've included almost all of you. I included you, Johnny. I included Truth. I included Bell. A few others that of YouTube that I consider to be like YouTube's most awesome.
Right on. Truth's one of my favorite to have on here. He's been on here the past 3 weeks, and he always brings the heat, man.
Truth is great. I love his streams. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I look forward to Truth streams more than I look forward to doing my own streams. I mean, because I'll get on there and he'll just have all these on point things to say, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. He just drops it. It's just like, listen, I'm gonna say how it is.
Truth, you don't want to be fake.
That is exactly right. That is exactly right.
You got to come correct when you call yourself the Truth, and he does, man.
Oh, you got that right. He definitely is. He's definitely the guy. And so for me, I look forward to his streams almost as much as my own. So that's, that says a lot. I couldn't be happier to be a friend of yours, Truth, and you are definitely a friend of mine. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for being here. It means an awful lot. And Bell says, "Yay, let them trolls come." Oh yeah, because we just made Bell a moderator here. That's awesome. Simon Zod, what's up, man? Hey, what's up, Simon? Good to see you, man. You're always on point too. How you been, bro? Haven't seen you in a bit. Let's see. Cisco says these days, yes, international's way more important than domestic. Yeah, definitely. China is going. I think China is going to bring it home for us. If anything is going to prove to AT&T that, hey, we need to restore the Snyderverse, They're going to look at those Chinese numbers. And they're going to be like, "Yep, yeah, it's time to make that transition
Well,
to the old
you
slate."
see what the opposition does. You see what Marvel Disney does. The hoops they jump through to get into the China market. So if HBO is just kind of getting that handed to them, and they're not going to respect that, that's kind of nasty on their side. You know what I mean? That's just gross incompetence, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, they are gross and incompetent. I mean, speaking of being competent and doing things the right way, I mean, Marvel is moving on all cylinders right now, man. I mean, Marvel's got everything, got everything going in the direction that they want to go. It seems like they're on point, ready to start again with their next phase. It's like what is the biggest difference between Warner Brothers and Marvel is that Marvel actually cherishes their fan base and DC likes to spit all over them.
Well, no. DC does not have a problem with the fan base. They love you guys. It is Warner Brothers themselves. See, the thing is Disney, I don't know if they would have if it wasn't for a guy like Kevin Feige coming in and kind of really kind of explaining it to the old people how you could do this in a good way that got them on point. But Disney has come to really love and respect Marvel for what it is and what it can do. Whereas Warner Brothers has never seen DC other than another fucking cartoon that they poop out every couple years.
You're absolutely right about that. You're 100% right. I meant to say WB, but I said DC. You're absolutely right, though. They just don't. Yeah, they don't understand. They don't want. And what's quite evident about that too, and this was another thing that ticked me off, is when they released that trailer, the 4K remastered trailer for Justice League, Joss Whedon's version of Justice League. Why would you put out a 4K trailer? You knew that thing was going to get ratioed like nobody's business. I mean, we're talking about it's got almost 100,000 dislikes to the 4,000 likes that it has.
Yeah, I mean, I know the internet loves a good meme, but you don't feed it to them. I mean, you're supposed to let your shit become a meme on accident, not just put it out there to be one. You're like, hey, check this meme we made out. That's not how it works, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, TJ, man. That means a lot. It's just great to have you here, man. You know, you're another really great one. Like I said, everybody here that comes to these live streams every week, you guys are the salt of the earth. You guys are awesome, and it makes me so happy just to be doing these. I feel so blessed to know so many amazing people. Everybody just comes here and they speak, they speak their mind, and everybody's respectful of each other. I just love it. I love seeing this. This is great stuff. and Bell says, Anthony, that's why it's called The Trash. Yes, that's the name that we have for the Flash movie. We're calling it the Trash Point Paradox. And it's definitely going to be a trash point, because I don't know how it sounds like they're just taking any ideas that they have DC universe wise, just throwing them at the wall and hoping something sticks. And that's not a way to make a big huge DC movie. About the only thing I'm looking forward to seeing in this Flash movie is Michael Keaton, because I like the Michael Keaton Batman. I like those original 2 Tim Burton movies. So it'll be nice to see Michael Keaton back. But as far as, WB is concerned, they'll probably find a way to mess that up too. I don't know how you mess up Michael Keaton's Batman, but they'll find a way. I mean, this is Warner Brothers we're talking about here. They'll probably make him completely, unrecognizable in terms of character. In terms of how that version of Batman was, he'll be on screen for a few minutes, and you'll be wondering, well, why is he talking like that? I don't remember Michael Keaton's Batman being this way. I don't know.
I just have him pop on really fast and be like, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts!" And then just that'd be it.
China is the key. yeah, I think so. I think China is the key. And KP says, these Marvel movies look bad. Well, I'm not gonna disagree with you, but the thing I think is so funny is that The
Marvel has
fans,
movies.
the fans who love Marvel and love these movies are excited. And that's the thing. They know how to cater to their base. I don't throw shade at Marvel because I don't consider myself to be Marvel's target audience. They're never going to get me. I'm not on board with them. Their movies are okay, but I've said many times that I consider the majority of their outings to be mediocre. So I'm not really looking at it like they're not going to win me over as a fan. Just like Warner Brothers is never going to be able to win over hardcore Marvel MCU fans with their Justice League DCEU. It's just not going to happen.
Well, that's actually not true. I know a lot of people who do like that are very big Marvel stands and stuff, and they actually really like Zack Snyder. They support the Snyder
see,
cut.
but that's what's happening now. Yeah, that's what's happening now because people are coming around and have actually had a chance to see the Snyder cut. These are people that, like you said, they didn't like it before, and now they're on board because they realize, hey, Zack can make a movie that has hope and optimism and actually does justice to the characters. Hence Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's like I look at it like this, and like Belle was saying on her stream yesterday, we were talking about how it was still kind of a compromised, Zack Snyder's Justice League is still kind of a compromised film because they forced Zack Snyder to make a lot of changes during filming, even before they brought in Joss Whedon to make the changes and to make the movie that he made. But ultimately, they still cut things out. We know this for a fact because Zack Snyder just released some behind the scenes footage from his Green Lantern scene. They cut out his John Stewart. They cut his John Stewart out of the Snyder cut. Would that have not been awesome to see Green Lantern John Stewart in this movie? But again, hey, let's go ahead and let Warner Brothers be Warner Brothers. You got a 4-hour movie, but you still have to cut Green Lantern out of it. God only knows why, because that Green Lantern looks awesome.
It would make more sense to introduce as many as possible, especially since that they don't want to be doing the solo film thing. And plus, he did a great job of basically giving every character their own movie in the cut, that I think he could have probably explained who John Stewart was in a neat and fashionable way, whereas we could have been caught up on the lore of the Green Lantern in a 20, 30-minute segment for the character. And that would have been an extra half hour to the cut. I mean, we already spent 5 hours watching the fucking thing. What would another half hour really do?
I agree. I expect,
and they're not doing anything with the Lantern. Why not put him in the fucking movie?
But that's the other thing. Though. The rumor is that Zack Snyder has an extended cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Jesus Christ! Of course,
so maybe we'll get a director's cut of the director's cut. What do you think?
The Snyder cut of the Snyder cut. It's actually 7.5 hours long now, guys, and
7.5 hours long and chock full of everything. We get to see Ryan Choi's Adam from the Chinese cut of the film. We get to see John Stewart Green Lantern, the scenes that Zack Snyder filmed in his driveway. We get to see all of that in the 7.5 hour Justice League cut that we're gonna eventually get once AT&T finally mandates that they restore the Snyderverse.
Well, the thing is you guys are wanting to see these other two Justice League movies. The problem is they're going to keep fighting these really strong New Gods characters. They're going to need more heroes. So, them not introducing the Lanterns is a dumb thing not to do in the first film, because they're going to need the Lanterns to stand any kind of chance against fighting Apocalypse. I mean,
I agree. I agree. I mean, and the fact that, we only got the Green Lantern in the history lesson, and then they didn't go give us any more, and we had a couple of dead Lanterns. And they didn't bother. But from what they were saying, we were supposed to get John Stewart, and we were supposed to get a cameo from Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, and WB vetoed all that crap. So I don't know. I think that like you said, probably 7.5 hour cut. Have it all out there. And TJ says, it seems to me that the domestic stupid studio WB hates Zack Snyder's Justice League while their affiliates love it. Make that make sense. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't make any sense. AT&T has been, apparently been over the moon with how well the Snyder Cut is doing on HBO Max and around the world. Apparently, AT&T sees the Snyderverse as the gold mine that it is, but WB doesn't want anything to do with it. And that's a problem. What they need to do, and I've said this before, they need to just annex WB completely, and kind of just filter them into, AT&T as a whole, and then AT&T just kind of take over and put new people there that want to get on board, because it doesn't make sense to have competing factions under your own umbrella, because that's not good for business. And it's not good for fans.
It seems like Warner Brothers execs at the studio level are going off of old Rotten Tomato scores from like 4 years ago. They're not even going off of modern people's opinions on Zack. And the fact that he just keeps coming out being the sweetest guy imaginable to everybody possible in the press and everything, it's just making them look so much worse and him look so much better. And they are not doing themselves any favors with anything that they've done in the past 2 years with him. So
yeah, they haven't at all.
I mean, people who despised him a couple of years ago are on his side now, just because of the way and it's because of the way they antagonize him. I don't understand why you would antagonize a talent like that. I want to know what he did. He had to screw somebody's daughter or something. This is like some straight out of Berserk. He's like Griffith,
right? Like, I don't understand. Like,
daughter's room or something.
It's almost like they covet. Like, WB covets the hate for some reason. And it should never, when it comes to a business like this, a movie studio where it's all about turning stuff green, there's no room for ego. There's no room for hurt feelings. It's just business.
And it's old hate. Even the people that the hate's based on, that they're basing that hate on, they've changed their mind. All those people,
a lot of them have. A lot of them have. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I half expected, Scott Mendelson to come out and issue an apology to Zack Snyder, but they keep having Scott Mendelson. They keep using Scott Mendelson as their hit piece boy whenever they want to come out with something that's completely negative and untrue about Zack. They just go to Scott Mendelson. And Ray says WBUS are egotistical idiots. They're in the international branches. Got more sense than them. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, their Japanese division puts out some damn good movies. They've been putting out Miike's past couple. So,
yeah. I mean, they have. WB execs just don't like being called out on their divisive BS by the fan base. They care more. They care more about the naive general audience who is blind to their BS. Yeah, because most moviegoers, Cisco, don't look at what's going on and are not looking at it as closely as we are. We're following it every day because we're diehard fans. But to the general audience, they're just looking at it like, oh, cool, another Justice League movie. Okay. They're not looking at it like, oh, this is something huge. The magnitude of Zack Snyder's Justice League to all of us is like a rainbow colored unicorn actually existing in front of our eyes. Like, this is not a movie that should exist, nor is it a movie that we should actually have access to. And that's something a lot of people need to understand. This movie, the fact that this movie exists at all, is not just a win. It's practically a revolution in terms of the way things are done in Hollywood.
It's like the greatest victory in fandom ever.
Yeah, ever. You can't. It doesn't get any bigger than that. Like you forced a studio who literally despises the filmmaker to release his 4-hour cut of the movie. I mean, it's just insane. And not only that, that same studio that hates him so much gave him $70 million to finish the film. So, I mean, I don't understand it at all. Maybe I just don't understand business. Maybe that's what it is. TJ says it's been past 100K dislikes. Yeah, that Justice League 4K trailer for Justice League has been ratioed beyond description. If WB needs any type of evidence, numerical evidence that nobody wants more of Joss Whedon's universe, then they should look at that. They should look at the way that trailer has been ratioed. And okay, and let's see. Gerald says, I asked this in Bell's Live. Do you believe that even if the Snyderverse is restored, we can forgive WB for how they treated us,
No,
Zach, and other
no,
cast and crew? No,
no, you never should. That's the thing. That's the thing about this whole thing. Warner Brothers does not deserve Zack Snyder, and it does not deserve you guys as fans. And I mean, like the culture that Zack Snyder would have to go back to, and the way he would be treated if he was to ever go back and work for Warner Brothers, and even if like it was mandated by AT&T that he got all the money and got to make the movie, it would be a civil war on a daily basis. He would be antagonized, he would be trolled. It would just be a terrible situation for him. It'd be a terrible situation for all of you guys, because everything he'd want to do would have to be a fight. And no, they would not ever deserve your guys's fleeting love for what they do ever again, because they have shit all over you and the man who you guys respect the most. And that's just my opinion. I'm kind of an outsider here, but that is my take.
Oh yeah, I agree. I don't think that they'll ever be able to earn forgiveness. It's gonna be long after we're all dead and gone before they get forgiveness for anything, because they're literally not changing anything. And again, even if the Snyderverse is restored, it's going to be restored because of AT&T. It's not going to be restored because of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers wants nothing to do with the Snyderverse. Warner Brothers wants nothing to do with Zack Snyder. He said as much in Vero over the last couple days. Somebody asked him on his Vero, why Warner Brothers dislikes us so much, or why Warner Brothers doesn't want to restore the Snyderverse. And he flat out said, the Warner Brothers doesn't want the Snyderverse. And he said, and Snyder's reply was, they don't want me either. They don't want him. He knows they don't want him. They don't want to work with him. They don't want nothing to do with him, because to the studio, to Warner Brothers, Zack Snyder is a blight on their whole plan for success, because a few people and a few crappy Rotten Tomato scores ruined Batman v Superman because of the studio meddling and cutting 30 minutes out of that movie. You have to realize that everything that Zack Snyder's going through right now is the fault of Warner Brothers. They're all about their egos. They're all about their own thing. It's people like Toby Emmerich sitting up there at the top that has a grudge against Zack Snyder for some reason. Walter Hamada doesn't want nothing to do with Zack because he's coming in and is bringing his own people. He wants to work with J.J. Abrams and wants to work with other people. He doesn't want to go back to the Snyderverse either. It's not because he has something personal against Zack Snyder. It's because he didn't have nothing to do with Justice League. He didn't have nothing to do with what came before. So he just wants to concentrate on the projects and things that he himself has greenlit, which is why you have such a huge disparagement between what the fans want and what Warner Brothers wants in terms of the studio, because the Warner Brothers want to just back Walter Hamada and all his projects. And a lot of people are saying, well, what about AT&T? AT&T could intervene. AT&T did intervene. You don't understand. AT&T greenlit the Snyder Cut. AT&T also canceled Ava DuVernay's New Gods and that Trench movie that was supposed to spin off of Aquaman. Warner Brothers didn't cancel those movies. Warner Brothers wanted to move forward with those movies and thought those movies were perfectly acceptable. AT&T took one look at the Snyder Cut, took one look at the ideas for those movies and said to WB, are you out of your mind? This is not happening. Those movies are not happening. So in a way, AT&T has kind of already intervened a couple of times. So yeah, it's going to take AT&T to come in, put their foot down and say, Warner Brothers, we're doing this whether you like it or not. And if that happens, WB is going to have to go along with it begrudgingly. And it's going to be just like how Johnny said, it's going to be practically a terrible, toxic work environment for Zack. As a Zack Snyder fan, I don't want him to go back to that. I only want Zack Snyder to do whatever Zack Snyder is comfortable with. So if he knows that he can work with HBO Max and he can work with AT&T to get his vision accomplished, and he doesn't have to deal with any of those yahoos over at Warner Brothers, then that's good for him. But if it's going to be a constant fight where he's going to have to constantly go back and forth and battle for every single thing that he wants, which again, even the Snyder Cut is compromised because he wanted to give us his Green Lantern. We didn't get to see that. He wanted to give us Ryan Choi. He wanted to give us the Atom. We didn't get to see that. Why? Because of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is the problem. Warner Brothers needs to be removed. They're the ones that are the big cancer in all this. And until they're gone, or the people who are at the top over there are gone, I don't expect any changes. Yep. So to answer your question, no, Warner Brothers will never deserve our forgiveness.
They have fundamentally betrayed you in every way possible. So no, man,
yeah,
you
there's
should
no way.
never, at least on that level, forgive them.
And TJ says for that Justice League trailer, 102K dislikes. That's incredible for a movie trailer. That is insane. And yet WB called us toxic. They should call us Money Bank. Yeah. You know what's funny? And I think that this is hilarious. The other day, Warner Brothers Shop UK put up Zack Snyder's Justice League in a steelbook with some Funko Pops for Zack Snyder's Justice League. They put it up as a special package. It's not available in the United States. It's only available in the UK. That thing was up for sale, sold out within 20 minutes.
I got a region-free DVD player, man, or Blu-ray player. You can get them.
But there's no demand. But there's no demand for the Snyderverse. You see what I'm saying here? That movie sold out within 20 minutes. You know, they were sold out of it, and now they have to restock before they can get more. There are copious amounts of bootleg Blu-rays and DVDs for Zack Snyder's Justice League on eBay. Figure that out. If the movie wasn't in demand and the movie wasn't selling, you think these bootleggers would be risking it, putting these DVDs up on eBay and selling them? And I look at all this stuff. If you go on eBay, they're actually selling. They are selling in droves. Why? Because there's physical demand for the Snyderverse. And physical demand for these movies.
And since it aired, I remember right after I watched it, I hopped on a call and me and you went on eBay and looked, and we were seeing all the different bootleg versions that were already out. And I think the cut had only been up for about a day or two, right?
Yeah. It had only been up for a day or two, and there was already a ton you could buy. And they weren't that expensive, and they looked kind of cool. A lot of them were international, but I've since went back and looked, and there's a ton of people selling it all across the country where a fancy Blu-ray cover, a fancy, blue looking Blu-ray. You can buy it where it almost looks like an official product. They're good at what they do. And yeah, it's up on eBay if you want to buy a physical copy and don't want to wait for Warner Brothers. But see, that's the thing. I think my theory is that Warner Brothers is going to wait as long as they possibly can. And I'm going to go one step further and say if Warner Brothers could avoid releasing a physical Blu-ray in the United States for Zack Snyder's Justice League, they would do it. That's how spiteful and how evil they are. Because this is the thing. Those numbers, try and find a copy of Zack Snyder's remastered BVS Ultra HD. Try and find that right now. It's a very hard disc to get a hold of, and that disc just came out a few weeks ago. It's very hard to get a hold of it. And so if they could avoid releasing the Snyder Cut just to spite the fans physically, they would do it, because you know why? If that becomes the best-selling Blu-ray of all time, they can't lie about the numbers. They can't hide that. They can't control retail numbers when it comes to a physical release. So that's something that people have to keep in mind. When this movie comes out, if you support Zack Snyder and you really want the Snyderverse restored, you buy the physical copy, because that's something that they're not gonna be able to hide. They can hide the numbers on HBO Max. They can make the numbers look murky. They can do whatever they want to. But when it comes to physical stuff, they don't control all of that. So it's out of their hands. If Walmart sells, 70 million copies of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Warner Brothers can't say, "Oh, it wasn't a hit." I mean, I don't know. I find it amazing how there's such a huge demand for Zack Snyder related material, and they just keep crapping all over him like Warner Brothers treats Zack Snyder like he's Uwe Boll, and I'm not even going to go there, but he does. They do treat him like
kind of do. Yeah. Well, there's kind of a lot of the internet used to too. I never understood it. I don't know what he did to piss everybody off when he made Sucker Punch, because I think it's a beautiful film, but
we still haven't seen it, and we still haven't seen Zack Snyder's true vision for Sucker Punch.
But there's something about that film that just pissed everybody off to where they just attack him for no reason.
That's the thing. That movie, Sucker Punch, both versions that exist right now were heavily edited and heavily modified by the studio. We have not seen Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch to this day. And
when he puts it on multiple times. Money. He's got my money when that comes out. I can't wait to see it.
God only knows what he had in store for Sucker Punch. People crap all over Sucker Punch, and we haven't even seen what Zack Snyder intended for Sucker Punch. So I feel doubly bad for Zack Snyder when it comes to Sucker Punch, because I think Sucker Punch, it's kind of like an Ayer cut situation where, David Ayer's Suicide Squad is so uniquely different from what we got in theaters and what we got. It's such a uniquely different vision. And it's the same thing with Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch was an original thing that Zack Snyder came up with. That was his own project, his own thing. And Warner Brothers went in, meddled with it to make it a certain way. And so many people hate the movie. So many people don't get it. So many people don't understand. And I keep telling people over and over again, it's not Zack Snyder's movie. You don't understand. We haven't seen Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch
even
yet.
Cut the shit, in my opinion. It's a magnificent film. I mean, I
like the extended version, and I'm dying to see his official version. I cannot wait till we get his cut. I'm with you, Johnny. He's got my money there. I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. That would be like the perfect Saturday, man. Watching Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch and watching Army of the Dead, man. Just back to back. Two unadulterated, uncut, uncensored Zack Snyder opuses that are original, that have nothing to do with any licensed properties, have nothing to do with anything but whatever Zack could come up with in his own mind. That's what I want to see. I'm with you there. If anything, Zack brought the appeal back to the general audience. Now they want him gone still. Yeah, makes no sense. Like Johnny was saying, there's so many people that despised Zack Snyder that have come back on board after Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, even you, Johnny, you didn't really care too much for BVS, but you enjoyed Justice League. So therefore, it's proven that Zack Snyder's Justice League was moving in a more I won't say a necessarily different direction, but it was eventually going to bring people to the point that they wanted to be at.
Right. Well, I never hold artists big films against them, so I knew Zach was just kind of making money with those things. Plus, he was almost kind of mandated to make Man of Steel because he kind of really didn't want to at first. So I kind of
I can understand. I can understand that. And looking back on it, I mean,
they
if
forced
I
him to
was
do
him,
it, and they torture his ass over it. Like, it's just the terriblest situation. Both him and Ben Affleck, both of them are like, "No, dude, I really don't." And look at how much just chaos and turmoil it's caused both these men, and they both kind of didn't want anything to do with the project when it was first offered to them. It makes me really feel sad for both of them, to tell you the truth, because I think that I don't know, if they weren't forced by Warner Brothers, maybe they would both be in better places in Hollywood right now. But whatever. I like that Zach is now seen as the artist he always should have been after this film.
I
Like, he
agree.
is
I
really
agree.
vindicated at this point, which I don't think would have happened if we didn't have this whole character arc with him. So that's the best thing that came out of this whole Snyder cut, and what you guys did getting the cut released. I never thought it would happen. I'm really glad it did, just because the man is now exalted. He is vindicated, and he is seen as the artist he always should have been. And fucking A. Good job,
Yeah.
guys. End
And
of story.
TJ says here they'll find a way to mess up Matt Reeves, the Batman. Well, if the rumors are true,
They probably
Matt
already have.
Reeves, Matt Reeves, the Batman, has already been meddled with to the point where Matt Reeves wants nothing more to do with Warner Brothers when it comes to making any more of these superhero movies. Look, Matt Reeves has a fragile working ego. If you mess with people, don't realize this, but Matt Reeves already left that Batman project twice. He left it twice, and both times Warner Brothers brought him back to the table and allowed him to come in and do it. First time was over creative differences, and then the second time was over them trying to force Matt Reeves to integrate Robert Pattinson's Batman into the overall arcing DCEU, and he didn't want to do that. He said no. He said my Batman is going to be its own thing. It's going to be a separate standalone idea that he had for a trilogy of films, much like Christopher Nolan with his Dark Knight trilogy. That's what we were supposed to get from Matt Reeves. And from what I'm hearing, Matt Reeves is done. He's like, you know what? This is nonsense. Like, they're meddling with his movie now. They're meddling with his movie. He's had lots of really severe disagreements with Robert Pattinson, from what I've heard. Those two are like oil and water, and they just don't mix right now. And from what I heard, Matt Reeves wanted Nicholas Hoult to play Batman, and the studio wanted Robert Pattinson and forced Robert Pattinson on Matt Reeves. So there was some bone of contention there from the beginning, and it just got even worse over the course of the filming. That's what I'm hearing.
That would have been good casting
I'm
too.
telling you,
I'm not against Pattinson, but Nicholas Holtz, he's a good little actor.
I would have been behind it. I would have
definitely been probably the tallest Batman we had. Though. That motherfucker's huge.
Listen, it would have been great. I'm in the Nicholas Hoult camp too. That would have been great. I would not have had any complaints whatsoever with that, especially coming off of Ben Affleck. At least you got somebody who looks comic booky and could fold. I mean, Pattinson to me just looks like an emo punk dressed in a Batman suit. I just don't get his appeal.
He looks like Owlman to me, man. Every time I see the trailer, I think I'm looking at
you and me
looking
both.
at an Owlman cosplay from.
You and me both. I seriously feel the same way, and to me, it takes me right out of it. I look at it and I'm like, dude, I can't. There's certain things about Pattinson that I just cannot get past. And honestly, if what we're hearing, if the rumors are true, if that's exactly what happened and that's what it was, I wouldn't expect Matt Reeves to come back and make any more movies. This Robert Pattinson Batman movie that we're getting could end up being a one and done. And I think people need to lower their expectations when it comes to what they think Robert Pattinson is going to be doing as Batman. And
when
for
it comes
those
to
people,
the meddling, I remember when they were first announcing this, when it was first going into production, Matt Reeves was saying he wanted to kind of do the long Halloween type thing. He wanted to have Batman going around talking to all the rogues gallery,
right,
kind of
detective
introducing all of them.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
But now, from what I understand, this movie's just going to be Court of Owls, which is boring. Fucking hell, dude! Like, I was all excited for the long Halloween movie, so yeah, that just goes ahead and like reaffirms that, like, yeah, this movie's been just chopped to pieces already from what it was originally slated as.
And Chubby Teddy Master, what's up, Chubby? Says Tasteless Toby is going to say my daughters think Keaton should say more jokes. Hey, listen, that's another thing too. That's a lot of the point you just made here. A lot of these top executives look at their kids to tell them what's good for these comic book movies. So yeah, if Toby's daughters turn to him and say, hey, yeah, Michael Keaton should make more jokes, best believe there'll be more jokes in the Flash movie, guaranteed. And Bell says, at least Marvel got their shit together. Well, here's the thing with Marvel. They do, at least when it comes to catering to that particular fan base. Like, I don't have nothing against Marvel personally. I just know that Marvel is a certain type of cinema, a certain type of TV. And I said this before, I think I said this on Truth's Cast not too long ago, that I binge watched all of WandaVision, and I thought it was okay. I mean, Marvel's okay. I don't hate Marvel, but I know what Marvel is, and I know what to expect.
Well, they're at a precarious place as well. They're about to start over. They just finished the whole Infinity shits, and they're going to be introducing all the celestial stuff, which who knows if it's going to catch on as good as Iron Man. We got Shang-Chi, like Thor, and a couple hangovers are all that we have left that connects any of this to the 28 movies that we've had so far. After Ant-Man 3 and a couple movies, like, all those characters are going to be gone. It's all going to be new fucking people playing.
It's hard to believe that there have been that many Marvel movies, man. It just, when I think about it, I'm like, my God, 28 movies? I mean, you're talking about like...
Yeah, I still remember going and seeing Dark Knight and Iron Man on the same weekend. Like,
right.
It seemed like a couple years ago, to tell you the truth. You know,
right?
What I mean?
It just doesn't feel. It just doesn't feel like that kind of thing. I remember seeing. I remember seeing Iron Man in theaters as well. And thinking,
and you were just like, Jesus, they finally made a good one. Wow, Marvel actually made a good movie.
Like the first Iron Man. It's like the first Iron Man. It's like hard for anybody to say that wasn't a good movie. I mean, my God, you go into that movie and you think, my God, that was really great. Actually, I really enjoyed that. I don't know.
Because Marvel didn't do that back then. Like, aside from Blade, like, yeah, you did not leave a movie that said Marvel at the beginning being like, oh, that was awesome. Except for maybe like Spider-Man and maybe a couple of the X-Men. I don't know if you're a fan of those, but I never liked them. But
yeah, like, no, yeah. I always was too picky when it came to X-Men, because I read the comic books, the X-Men comics growing up. I was a fan of the animated, the X-Men animated series, and the movies just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I remember seeing the very first X-Men movie. I think it was 2000, wasn't it? 99, 2000. And I remember thinking, okay, let's see where they go with this. Like, I was kind of just like, and it was like, it's hard not to have optimism when you see like a new franchise spring up. When you see like X-Men and you think, oh my God, how can they mess this up? I mean, it's cool. You got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Which, as good of a Wolverine as he was, if you look at the comic book character, he's horribly miscast. But that's
class, and he was only ever good in the last two movies that he was in. So
yeah, like I look at Logan and I'm like, okay, man, listen, Zack Snyder pitched Logan before Logan was popular. Do you understand? Zack Snyder wanted to do a Logan movie before they did the Logan movie, and the studio said no. Because Zack Snyder was ahead of his time. And
way to shit the bed, Fox.
I mean, that would have been great. Oh my God, Fox would have that movie would have been insane. Could you imagine?
I mean, I don't see it. I think it would be a better version of Logan because I don't think Zack Snyder's like clueless enough to have him fight a clone of himself at the end of the film, because that is the one thing
Probably
about
not.
Logan that really
He
keeps it
probably
from
would
being
have had
like
him fight Deadpool or something. I don't know.
I had him fight something interesting. It definitely would have been a clone of himself. That's for sure. Zach's at least too clever for that.
And Chubby Teddy Master says, smash that like button. Thank you, Teddy. And Bell says, but their movies are kind of trash. Yeah, I agree with you, Bell. I can only think of a few Marvel movies that I consider to be really good, that I really like. I like the first Iron Man, and I know it's typical of DC fans to say this, but I really do like Captain America Winter Soldier. I mean, that movie is the closest to me. It's the closest where it's an actual Marvel movie where the movie to me actually felt like it had real stakes. It actually felt like it was like the characters were legitimately, in peril. It was great. It was definitely a good movie. It wasn't just a good Marvel movie. It was a good movie in general. It really was.
It's one of the few that'll stand alone. I mean, like, they're just fun. Like, I call them microwave popcorn movies, man, because that's what they're good for, man. You just got nothing better to do. You got a little weed in your pocket, man. Microwave some popcorn, put on a Marvel film. Giggle a little bit and then forget about it. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's how I am with Marvel movies when I go to the movie theater and see them. It's like I see it once and then I have no desire to ever see it again. I walk away from it thinking, oh, that was good, nice, good, forgettable entertainment. That's kind of how I look at Marvel. And I compare it to something like BVS, where I've gone back and rewatched that movie over and over, and I get different things from it every time I watch it. But that's not the case with a Marvel movie. I've never had a desire to go back and rewatch any of the Marvel movies. To this day, I can tell you, I've only seen Infinity War one time. When did I see it? When I watched it in the movie theater. I saw Endgame one time. When did I see it? When I watched it in the movie theater.
Hey, man, but you wrote a good paper about that. Your little essay about Endgame was legit, even though Jackal wouldn't let you finish it. He kept interrupting you. I really, really liked that write-up you did, man. That shit was clean. Where you referenced the Highlander Endgame too, which was that was such a neat comparison you made with that shit, man. You should do that a little more often, man.
Basically, I was trying to say that Highlander Endgame was greater than Avengers Endgame. Yes.
Yeah, you did like a whole college thesis paper on it. You read it on air, man. It was great, dude. That was just gangster.
I mean, because that's how it felt to me. Highlander Endgame doesn't get enough love, and Highlander Endgame is just as important to the Highlander universe as Avengers Endgame is to the MCU. So it's like you kind of got to look at that. I don't know. I still love Highlander Endgame to this day.
Hey,
I prefer
Zack
Highlander
Snyder
Endgame.
Doing the Highlander remake. That's about the only motherfucker I'd watch actually do one.
Oh my god, yeah, because he could do it. Listen, if Zack Snyder could remake Dawn of the Dead and have it be as great as it is, he could remake Highlander, and it would be the dopest Highlander movie we ever seen. I swear, I would love it.
That's what I want to see, man. I'm gonna get a crowdfung shit together to get Zack Snyder to remake Highlander. Dude.
Highlander remake Highlander for real. Because really, if Zack Snyder were to remake Highlander, he could do whatever he wants with it. Because nobody's doing anything with Highlander right now. It's just sitting there. Yeah, I don't think
Sci-Fi Channel's the last people I know that were doing anything with it, and it's been a long time since they've done anything. So hell yeah.
Damien, it's so good to see you, man. I don't know. I'm slowly getting through all the chats here. It's great to see you, man. Good night to you too, man. I hope you were enjoying the chat. I hope you're having a good time. Always, Damien's another really great guy. He's a really awesome supporter. He's supported everything that I've done since I've been a part of this whole Snyder Cut thing. Damien is another salt of the earth gentleman. Great guy. Thank you, Damien. Good to see you, man. And Ray says, WB wanted the critics who are the minority. You see the difference in them praising Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey while hating on Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know how anybody can look at Wonder Woman 84 and compare it to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
No, definitely not. And I actually really like the movie Birds of Prey. It is fun, violent trash that I just enjoy. I like seeing pretty girls beat people up. But I wouldn't compare it. I would just, you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, it would be like comparing Spider-Man 2. What's that one called? Homecoming versus Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Like, even in Marvel films, you can't really compare them all to each other. There are like really good, really serious ones, and then there's just like dumb, stupid ones that are supposed to be flash in the pan, fun, goofy shit. And that's how I view stuff like Birds of Prey. Whereas Justice League, it really was supposed to be sentimental, heartfelt, all the things that the movie actually ended up being. Whereas Birds of Prey, yeah, just have a bunch of hot chicks doing high kicks all the time in tight pants. What do you guys want?
Well, there you go. Okay, and TJ says true. At least Marvel got their shit together. Okay, and Chubby Teddy Master, Marvel lost me when they plagiarized BVS with Civil War. Thank you, Jeff Johns. Yeah, because remember the movie we were supposed to get, the Captain America follow-up we were supposed to get to Winter Soldier wasn't supposed to be Civil War. It was supposed to be Serpent Society. Most people may not remember that, but that was the original slate. And then when Warner Brothers announced Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Serpent Society got shelved and they went with Civil War. Personally, I think they should have did Serpent Society because I think that would have been a better Captain America film, especially following up something as big as Winter Soldier.
Civil War was not a Captain America movie. It was a team-up movie. It was an Avengers movie. I think it was a terrible film to be supposedly be a hero solo film. That'd be like trying to call the Snyder cut like Man of Steel Part 2. You know what I mean? Instead of calling it Justice League, trying to call that Man of Steel Part 3. You know, like,
yeah,
you can't do that when the whole team's involved. Everybody's fighting with each other. They're introducing Spider-Man and Black Panther, and this is supposed to be the end of Captain America's story. Get the fuck out of here. Man. That's one of the main things that pissed me off about that universe too. But the thing about that, Chubby Teddy, is Marvel and DC have had a stoic history of going back and forth, plagiarizing the shit out of each other, and it's always fun when they do it. And they always have a good laugh at each other when they do it. So the fact that they followed that from the comics into the movies, I wouldn't really get mad about it. It's just a time-honored tradition between the two oldest companies. And it's just jumped into the new generation, in my opinion.
And Anthony says here, WB acting like the Green Lantern movie is happening, which is not. The movie is canceled. Yeah, that's not happening. So there's no reason why they shouldn't have just allowed Zack Snyder to have his Jon Stewart Green Lantern. I mean, my God, that would have been awesome. That's something we all deserve. And Baby Girl says LOL, and Bell says release the real Zack Snyder cut. Yeah, well,
7.5 hours.
That's what we're talking about. 7.5 hours. We're gonna get the real Zack Snyder cut, and we'll have the Green Lantern. We'll have the Joker. We Live in a Society line edited back into the film, which was released as a deleted scene, so it shows you that there is a longer cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League out there. Let's see. Jacob Ludi says 4 hours and 30-minute Justice League sounds good to me. Okay. Cisco says, remember Zack Snyder's Justice League was supposed to be four parts, so extended cut on top of what would have possibly made it a 7 or 8 part miniseries. Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's a lot of additional material that they probably had to shoot in order to pad each episode out. So if it was going to be released in parts, you would have had to have little things in there to make it a cliffhanger each episode. And Bell says, hell yeah, the Green Lantern Corps is basically the space army. Yeah. Yep. Anthony says Zach did say he has a 5-hour cut of Justice League. Well, there you go, Johnny. You're not too far off, buddy.
Yeah.
He did say he does have a 5-hour cut. Yeah. And Walter Hamada thinks he is Kevin Feige, which is hilarious. Yeah, no, he's not. He's definitely not Kevin Feige. Cisco says so much Snyderverse DC content can be developed on HBO Max. Martian Manhunter, animated origin film or series, Ben Affleck miniseries, Deathstroke series with Joe Manganiello showing his origins, etc. Yeah, there's a lot they can do on HBO Max, which is, to be quite honest, probably the only way that anything Snyderverse, anything else Snyderverse will live on is if it's through HBO Max, especially as long as people at Warner Brothers are still running the show. And Bell says, exactly. Why do they hate him so much? It's not like he's a Nazi. He just wants to film his films the way he wants to. Yeah, that's how every filmmaker is. I don't think any filmmaker goes into making a movie thinking, okay, we got to make this as controversial as possible. We got to make this as offensive as possible. They just want to make the movie they want to make. And so I don't understand why studios, when they hire visionary directors like Zack Snyder, David Cronenberg, Paul Verhoeven, you hire these visionary directors, you expect a certain type of signature style from these filmmakers. You wouldn't get bring Paul Verhoeven in and say, Paul, we want you to direct
Jingle All the Way Part 2.
Jingle All the Way Part 2. And then we want you to turn around and do we're going to assign you to a multi-picture deal. We want you to give us a modern day Little House on the Prairie film. That's not the filmmaker you get for that. And then Paul Verhoeven makes his Little House on the Prairie film, and it's full of all kinds of things. Sex, death, and destruction, and all kinds of stuff that you would never expect to be in a Little House on the Prairie movie, but that's the director you got. So why would you get a filmmaker to make that kind of movie if you don't like his signature style? That's what I don't understand about studios. You don't need Zack Snyder to make Justice League Part 2. You don't need David Ayer to make a Suicide Squad movie. You don't need James Gunn. You don't need anybody. You could just have any director that you pay, a minimum wage come in and shoot whatever you tell them to do, because clearly you want to make movies by committee. And that's the problem. If they want to make movies by committee, why do you want to hire a visionary director? You don't need a visionary director for the crap that you're trying to put out. I'm sorry. Birds of Prey, if they think Birds of Prey was a hit, they might as well let Kathy Yan direct the next Justice League movie. And by the way, while they're at it, if Patty Jenkins doesn't come back for Wonder Woman 3, Brett Ratner is looking for work. They might as well bring him back, let him direct Wonder Woman 3, because as far as I'm concerned, they don't need any stylistic director. You can hire any 2-bit director to come in and direct their movies, because it's not about style. It's not about substance. It's just about putting content out there and force feeding the audience. You don't want the audience to think. You want the audience to turn their brain off and make and just consume. That's all you want them to do. So you're right. They're right. They don't need Zack Snyder. They don't need anybody big anymore. So the fact that Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, Patty Jenkins, Denis Villeneuve, all of these visionary directors have left Warner Brothers because of their incompetence should make no difference whatsoever, because they don't need visionary directors. They need just anybody that they can hire. Jamie Horowitz wants to direct the next Wonder Woman movie. Let him do it, because you don't need a big name. I don't understand. I don't understand why you need, you can get anybody behind the camera that knows how to shoot film. That's all you need. And Chubby Teddy Master says, I think it's because Jeff Johns was there is hate for why there is hate for Zack Snyder. Jeff Johns is influential to the Ain't It Cool News Nerdist shill media. Well, yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
Well, but, Jeff Johns, I lost a lot of respect for Jeff Johns long before all this Snyder Cut stuff, because when Jeff Johns was writing a lot of the stuff he was writing, and then he came out and he started messing around and he wrote that Doomsday Clock sequel to Watchmen. What are you doing? Why are you writing this? This makes no sense. There's no need for this. To me, I don't.
That makes Chubby Teddy's point too, because the whole point of the book was he was trying to undo the damage that supposedly Moore did with the Watchmen, and made like Manhattan a positive character, and they were going to rebuild the positive DC universe where the characters weren't going to be dark and edgy anymore. So I guess it really kind of was an attack on Zack and his version of Watchmen, which I think is, I don't care what anybody says, it's the best version of Watchmen we'd probably ever get to expect on film, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, Jeff Johns is against that type of media. His sequel to The Watchmen made it that more apparent. And yeah, dude, Doomsday Schlock was, oh man.
Oh my God.
I remember when
that's so terrible. Doomsday Clock makes those before Watchmen comic books look like masterpieces.
Hey, that Darwin Cook Minuteman book was actually pretty good. The Minuteman book by Darwin Cook rock.
Yeah. And but I'm serious though. It makes those prequel comics that are hated by Watchmen purists. If you look at those and you compare those to what Jeff Johns did in Doomsday Clock, suddenly those books don't look as blasphemous anymore. They don't look as bad. You know why? Because at least those books tried to respect the mythology that Moore created. They tried to. But Jeff Johns, like you said, Johnny, went out of his way basically to crap all over what Alan Moore created and tried to do his own thing with the characters. So, listen, I don't understand the love that Jeff Johns gets from people. I know Jeff Johns has written a couple of great comic book runs. He's had a couple of great comic book runs. Okay, big deal. But he's a scumbag. He's a dirtbag. And the reality is he's responsible for a lot of the crap that's going on to this day. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what he writes. He's a dirtbag. He should have been out of there a long time ago. And frankly, his before Watchmen or his whatever Doomsday Clock should have been in the trash bin, when he first came up with his prototype idea for it. Jim Lee and everybody else at DC should have looked at him and been like, Jeff, are you feeling okay? I think you need to see a doctor. Can I recommend somebody?
I think that's why they're pushing Brian Bendis so hard right now.
I think so too.
They brought him over from Marvel, and they push him. They pulled actually a bunch of stuff from Johns and started pushing like a bunch of Bendis's ideas instead. And I'm just like, I wonder, this isn't subtle anymore. I think even DC proper is like, man, dude, you kind of just shitting on everything, aren't you there, Jeff? And we can't stop you because people want to buy it.
Oh, wow, Jeff, another bad idea. It's like, I'm sorry, but the guy, he lost me. I mean, I'm reading this Watchmen sequel, and I'm struggling, trying to get through it. It's like reading through like a slog, and it's not even fun in any way possible because it makes no sense. And then later on in the book, I don't know, probably I think like issue 8, you get to the where you're going to have the showdown between Dr. Manhattan and Superman, and it's like, I don't care about this. I never wanted this. I never wanted to see these two characters collide in any way because it doesn't make sense.
They don't fight. You get a bigger fight in BVS than you got in Doomsday Clock between those two. They basically just sit there and talk for about 4 issues.
Right. They have a Jeff Johns philosophical discussion, the kind of philosophical discussion Jeff Johns probably has with himself when he's on the toilet at night. That's probably what it basically boils down to. And I really didn't have anything. I'm like, okay, this misleading cover of this showdown between Superman and Dr. Manhattan that nobody asked for. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I always loved the fact that Watchmen operated outside of the DC universe. I love that it was its own thing. I love that it had nothing to do with any of that stuff. And with Jeff Johns trying to, put Watchmen characters where they don't belong, it just shows that Jeff Johns
and church them up and makes them worse than what you guys, worse than how you Snyder fans hate Marvel characters in the movies. That's worse. Jeff Johns is doing worse things with the Watchmen characters than that in that book. With the new Rorschach, come on, man.
Oh God, the new Rorschach. When I saw all that new Rorschach stuff, Johnny, I'm not lying. I started shaking. I'm like, this is seethingly bad. It's not just cringe. It makes you physically, if you're a fan at all of the original Watchmen.
And you need a bad sequel. If you really need a bad sequel to Watchmen, just watch the HBO show. Avoid Doomsday schlock.
The Watchmen TV show, I have to give them credit for one episode that they did. There's this one episode, and I forget what the episode is called because I've kind of put that show out of my memory the same way I put Doomsday Clock out of my memory. But I have to give them credit for one episode they did in which they actually depict real world how it was when the squid came down. They actually physically show the squid. They show this kid. Listen, it's this one.
They did Looking Glass's his backstory. Yeah, that was brutal.
That was a brilliant episode. The episode felt very much like it belonged in the Watchmen universe. Like it made sense. Like I watched that and I'm like, yeah, that's something Alan Moore would probably be proud of because it actually does, depict what it probably would have been like an almost like 9/11 kind of event and the psychological impact that it would have on society at that time, but telling the story in a very intimate way through the eyes of Looking Glass, right?
Yeah, Looking Glass. Yeah, he was like in New York. They're handing out Christian pamphlets and stuff.
Yeah, he was a Jehovah Witness. Yeah,
yeah, and like he got tricked by a hooker, and like he had his pants off and stuff, and like he got lured into the House of Mirrors and got saved. Everybody else got just butchered in front of him. But like, yeah, and that's why he like wraps his head in tinfoil and everything through the whole show. And like, yeah, it really endeared that one character. But yeah, the rest of the show, aside from Looking Glass, I didn't care much for. But his backstory, and I just like Tim Blake Nelson as an actor anyways. I thought he was great in the show. But yeah, aside from him, you can take or leave the rest of it. But
that to me was the only episode. That was the only episode where I thought, God, this is breathtaking. This is fantastic. This is the kind of writing that this whole show should have. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what drugs they were on at the time they decided to do that episode, but I'm like, where were those drugs for the rest of the series?
Now they had to try to make it to HBO. That's the problem. They wanted to make it like Game of Thrones, but with superheroes, and it's like that's not Watchmen though. That's not the Watchmen.
No,
but whatever. It came out pretty decent. Comparing it to Doomsday Clock, it definitely rises up to like the before Watchmen, like the Brian Azzarello like comedian book. I'd put it on par with that, something like that.
Yeah, and again, especially that episode. That episode is in a class by itself because it actually you could actually, being a fan of Watchmen, you could take that episode and just watch that episode. And you've got everything. You've got everything you need to know. You've got the best that series has to offer. You don't need to watch any other episodes.
Cisco got me sold, man. A goddamn Bane show with Batista? Yes. Yes, that would be so watched by me, man.
That
That
would be
sounds
awesome. I wouldn't be against that. I think that would be great. I would
on
love to see
HBO
it.
Max. Yeah, have that on after Doom Patrol. I'll watch the shit out of it.
And yeah, Dave. Oh, okay. Anthony's asking Dave Batista as Kilowog. Yeah, I could see him maybe doing the voice of Kilowog if they were going to do, because we know Kilowog would probably be CG.
Yeah.
Also, Zach has publicly slammed film by committee, which he should. Oh yeah, absolutely. Anybody who's a film
Yeah.
auteur or visionary filmmaker is going to crap all over movies that are made by committee, which is basically the studio, which is basically what resulted in Joss Whedon doing Justice League. And basically this Flash movie that we're going to get is another example of a film made by committee. I don't think Andy Muschietti is in charge at all with this Flash movie. I think this Flash movie is so far from what his original vision was. It's pretty much going to be like Snyder Cut and Justice League all over again. I don't think he has any control over this movie whatsoever, and that's unfortunate because I think Andy Muschietti is a competent director and probably could have given us a good Flash movie, but it's out of his control.
Are they ever going to do an Aquaman part 2? Didn't that movie make like $1 billion?
That's coming. That's on the slate. They're going to do a part 2.
They should be up to part 3 by now. I mean, that first one came out like what, 4 years ago? I mean, Jesus, they are really, really slow, man. They're just ridiculously slow. That's another thing they're gonna, if they want to keep up in this game, they're gonna have to put these movies out at a better pace.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you, Bell. I'm glad that all of you in the chat pretty much are agreeing with what Johnny and I are talking about here. Yeah, I mean we're just being real. I mean it's pretty clear where the situation is. Now, if you want to kind of switch gears and talk about something that I think is hitting it out of the park, it is doing it absolutely right. It's that Invincible show on Amazon. Oh my goodness. I'm enthralled. Have you been watching that, Johnny? Have you watched it yet?
No, I got to check it out. I'm going to wait till it's over because I hate
it is over.
Shows.
The first season is over.
Has it aired? Okay, cool. I hate waiting episode to episode, man. I'm spoiled by binging shit. So.
What I'm hoping you'll do is definitely watch it so we can make it a big topic for next week.
Oh, I'm an Image fanboy, so of course I was going to watch it, man.
And Baby Girl says Jar Jar Abrams, yeah, I am not looking forward to anything Jar Jar is going to do with DC. He's going to come in and ruin DC the same way he ruined Star Wars and the same way he ruined Star Trek. He's going to do the same thing. He's a franchise killer. But WB hasn't done any better.
He's going to bring out Benedict Cumberbatch, and they're going to act like he's not going to be Lex Luthor, but he's going to end up being Lex Luthor. And
at the end, he's going to say, "I'm
Superman
Luthor.
reboot.
I am Luthor." Yeah,
that's going to piss you off so bad too.
Cumberbatch, Luthor. They're going to be. I mean, you think Cumberbatch was cool as Sherlock Holmes? Wait till you see him as J.J. Abrams, Luthor. Yeah, and Bell says because bitch, as WB got scared of the backlash of BVS in 2016. Yeah, they did. They got scared of the backlash. Gave BVS a standing ovation when they first seen it, and then proceeded to cut over 30 minutes out of the movie. I'm not
gonna lie though, man. Like that movie got buried for no real reason. I personally am not a super fan of BVS. I think it's competently made. I think it has some great parts. I don't personally enjoy it, but I do not think that it's a 2 out of 10 or all the rancid shit that was being said about it when it was coming out. It was getting ridiculously low scores. You can ask Zod. I gave it a 6 out of 10, which I think is really fair. But like I was the nicest person I knew, and Zod was the only person I knew, and that would out in the open would be like, I fucking like it, so fuck you guys. So like, so he was more gangster than even me. But yeah, at the time, like, I do not understand just the mountains of shit that were getting poured on that movie. I always thought it was unfair. It all came from that whole Sucker Punch, though. I remember the entire time BVS was getting made, they'd be like, "I don't understand why they got that idiot that made Sucker Punch making the Superman movie."
Yeah,
like, he's made so many movies besides Sucker Punch. Plus, that thing's a fucking art film. Like, you guys just don't
the
understand art
but
movies.
look. Sucker Punch is beautiful in concept. Every shot in Sucker Punch is like pure artwork. It's fantastic. Personally, if we get, I would be just as excited if they were to announce tomorrow that we were actually going to get Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch. I would love to see that movie. In fact, I hope WB gives it to Netflix and allows Netflix to release it, because Netflix will treat it correctly and give it a chance. Chubby Teddy Master says, blame Jeff Johns' jealousy because he wanted to Donnerize Superman after Nolan's Batman films.
That's so stupid. Isn't that what the X-Men guy did? What's his Singer?
Yeah.
He tried to do a Donner movie and that blew goats for quarters.
Yeah,
so what did they think another one
had Donner on board. He had Donner on board as a consultant for that movie, and that movie just it didn't do anything for anybody.
I mean, like, I have my problems with Man of Steel, but Man of Steel is like 10 times the film Superman Returns is. Like, I mean, I watched that movie like 3 times in a row before even trying to watch Superman Returns once, man.
Oh,
like,
my God. Superman Returns is a slog. And I'm not going to lie. I seen Superman Returns with my mother in the movie theater, and I fell asleep during Superman Returns.
I believe it, man. Like, nothing happened. Superman does not do anything Superman-like.
I mean, it just was so boring. I mean, and it didn't really. And the thing was, it didn't do Superman as a character any favors. So the fact that people complain about Man of Steel on the level that they do is just, to me,
ridiculous. When Superman Returns exists, you can't hate Man of Steel that bad, in my opinion. And I hate Man of Steel. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I don't hate
Anthony says, let's be honest, J.J. Abrams is going to destroy DC movies. Well, as far as I'm concerned, DC movies are already destroyed under the current WB regime, so it doesn't really matter. I don't see how Abrams can make it any worse. Maybe Abrams screwing it up will show WB just how bad that they are. Maybe they need another demonstration. Yeah. But because by bringing Abrams in, you can't get much worse. And speaking of bringing somebody in, we've got Hugo here. What's up, Hugo?
Hey, Zod.
I don't know, Hugo, if you've ever met Johnny. Johnny, have you ever met Hugo?
I do not believe so, but it is wonderful to meet you, Hugo.
You too.
So what's on your mind tonight, man? Thank you for joining the panel.
Oh, well, I just fancy joining. I haven't talked to you in so long, Zod, so thought this was a good excuse. Just turn up and join in if there's something to say.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, how excited are you? Apparently, we're going to get a Rocky IV director's cut. Are you excited, being the big Rocky fan that you are?
Well, as it is, that and 3 are unfortunately the only 2 I've seen. I'm always open to more cuts of any film. And Rocky IV, without the robot, I will probably miss the robot. But who cares? It's another cut. I'm open to it. I'll watch it.
Well, from what I've been reading is that it says that it's actually going to be called Rocky versus Drago. He's actually changing the name of it for the director's cut. So Stallone is going to give us a serious cut. I wonder if that montage with the 80s music when he's driving in the car and training, I wonder if that's all going to be cut. What do you think, Johnny? I don't think we've talked about the director's cut of Rocky IV.
I didn't know that they were making one. That's wonderful. I mean, if they cut that montage out, I mean, that would be tragic. But if you're saying that he's going to try to make it a serious cut, I don't see how you could leave that in and call it a serious cut.
He's saying, yeah, it's going to be a much more serious cut, and apparently, Sylvester Stallone got his inspiration because the Snyder cut was such a popular thing. So,
hey,
I'm kind of excited, man. I'm a big Rocky fan, so I think that the possibilities are pretty good with the director's cut of Rocky 4. I can't wait till it comes out, to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
because if he's got more material and he can share, I mean, wow, that's going to be awesome.
This has been Stallone's plan during lockdown, when he hasn't been going to the shops with his rubber gloves on, has been just re-editing and recutting Rocky 4. I think that's probably one of the most motivated. He's one of the most motivated people during this pandemic at the moment, with that and just shooting the voice work he did for Killer Shark in the Suicide Squad sequel.
Yeah. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to it. Any director that wants to improve upon something that they've done, I think is awesome. And we've got Chubby Teddy Master here who says, we'll see the Snyderverse restored. Keep up the fight. Keep it trending. And then he also says, the Snyderverse has to be restored on Zach's terms. Toby has to be bounced. Well, I hope so. I hope Toby gets bounced. It would be nice to see Toby gone. Toby's face in Sill's clip was priceless. Yes. I agree 100%. Toby needs to go. I don't know where Toby's going to go, but I would like to definitely see him go. There you are. What's going on, Hugo? Wow. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm ready for Toby to go. What about you, man? You ready for Toby to go?
I'm just imagining it like Frequency playing out. If anyone's seen Frequency, you'll know how the final act goes.
Yeah,
the film that he claimed to write the screenplay for, but apparently,
he wrote the screenplay. I don't think now is Roland Emmerich his brother? Is Roland Emmerich any relation to Toby?
I tried looking into this. I don't think they are, and it's the same with Noah Emmerich. They're not related in some
Well, that's
form.
good, because I like Roland Emmerich. I mean, I know that his movies are trash, but they're wonderful. I like the film. So, like, I love Midway. That's like one of my favorite movies of last year, man. Midway was a masterpiece.
And who doesn't love Independence Day? As cheesy as that is.
10,000 BC, I'd say, is not bad. Godzilla for laughs. Watch Godzilla for the laughs and for the soundtrack.
What was that other movie? What was it called? Day After Tomorrow?
That's the one I was going to bring up with Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, that one's pretty fun for a disaster film.
Yeah.
BVS had everyone against it. The Donner crybabies, Nolanites, MCU fans, the general audience, and critics who thought they were rushing to catch up to Marvel. Yeah, I agree with you, Ray. Baby Girl says AT&T needs to do some house cleaning, fire Walter Scromata, Sarny Tits, and Toby Salty Emmerich. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see them all go. I would. It would be nice. Cisco says AT&T does not want any more new productions coming from Hamada that are not already actively ready to go, like Flash, Aquaman sequel. The Batman is already in the can. Black Adam is a new line jam. Yeah, Black Adam is new line, and if the rumors are true, Rock wants Black Adam to be in the Snyderverse. So if that's the case, then you're pretty much guaranteed that the Snyderverse is going to be restored in some capacity.
A new line? That's a good company. Or they used to be back in the day.
They're all once again under the AT&T umbrella. AT&T needs to clean house at Warner Brothers. Period. Yep, agreed with you there. The Extraction was Netflix's highest streamed movie with 100 million streams. Army of the Dead could break the record because they have a cast from India, Mexico, and Germany. I agree. That international cast coupled with Zack Snyder directing as hot as he is right now, I think it is going to break every Netflix record that they got. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, and my God, guys, it's coming up. It's coming up the end of this month.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a Snyderverse too, you guys. Like, I know you guys don't realize it, but this movie is just the beginning of an entire universe. So there are two Snyderverses that you guys need to start supporting now.
Oh, absolutely. Anybody supporting it, anybody supporting Restore the Snyderverse has got to be just as excited right now about Army of the Dead, because that is going to be huge. And that's why I've changed all my social media stuff to Army of the Dead, because that's where I am right now. I feel like we need to be more invested in Army of the Dead and what Zach is cultivating over at Netflix than we need to be with, Restore the Snyderverse right now, because I feel like we're doing everything we can on that front. And it's not that we should give up with Restore the Snyderverse, because Zach has already said to keep watching the Snyder Cut. Don't cancel HBO Max. Give it time. I mean, he's on board. He knows more than we do, so we kind of have to trust in what he's saying and just stay the course. But as far as Army of the Dead, we got to make that the biggest hit, the biggest streaming hit known to man. Honestly, it's got to be huge, and it's going to be. I have no doubt Army of the Dead's going to break all the records. We're at a point. Always bet on the Dead, right? Zod, when Army of the Dead is a success, a war for Zach is going to brew among streaming platforms, and the trend, always bet on Zach, will start the bidding. I agree with you.
Well, we also got the really, really realistic scenario that after Army of the Dead's a hit, Marvel may very well come to him and get him to direct something like Ghost Rider, which I've been hearing everywhere. And that would be incredible. And that would be, after that, yeah, dude, Walter Hamada and everybody would really start getting yelled at if they didn't start actually thinking about working with the man, because that would just be that would just show how utterly petty and disgusting that they're being. And I think that would be the breaking point. So that would be something that I know you guys hate Marvel for some reason, but you might want to maybe start supporting that as a goal, because it would really, really move mountains for what you guys want in a weird way. Believe it or not.
We talked about this last week, and I would have no problem with Zach going over to Marvel and doing a Ghost Rider movie, because if that actually happens, all of us that are supporting Restore the Snyderverse, that are supporting Army of the Dead, are going to be porting over to Marvel. Marvel's going to get the benefit of that fan base. That's what WB doesn't want. See, WB, they don't want Zack Snyder, but they don't want anybody else to have him either. And that's the conundrum that they're in right now, because they have this Netflix movie that's about to blow up, and then the possibility of him going over to Marvel to make Ghost Rider is just ridiculous. And Chubby Teddy Master says here, man, who knows? Maybe AT&T could be looking for Toby Emmerich's replacement, and they are keeping it quiet. They could very well be. And Chubby continues, I think because the human trafficking theme to Sucker Punch pumped a lot of fear into the studio. Yeah, it kind of did. But Zach had a unique vision for Sucker Punch that we still have not seen, which is what the tragedy of Sucker Punch is. Because just imagine, you come up with your own movie about a few singles living in an apartment together and experiencing life. You bring it to the studio takes your idea, throws it out the window, and says, we're going to make it about little girls, and we're going to call it Strawberry Shortcake. I mean, what in the world is going on? I mean, that's not the vision. That doesn't make any sense. But that's what they did to basically.
Well, I mean, it's a movie about the way that women are mistreated. So the idea of human trafficking being uncomfortable in a film that's already about the mistreatment of women, like, why is that?
And the movie was actually
more.
The movie, what people don't get about Sucker Punch was everything that happened in that movie happened in that girl's head. It was a psychological
They were all characters
study. It was
of
they
her.
were all characters in her mind. They were all figments of her imagination. Zack Snyder was basically trying to show you just how powerful the imagination is when you've experienced traumatic events and things in your life. It really was uniquely mind-blowing. And I swear to God, if we get his true vision for Sucker Punch, we're probably all going to be blown away. I'm serious. It's probably a movie we'll be talking about for the next 50 years if we actually get to see it. Clean like a mother. Yeah. To Die For. What's up, brother? Oh, it's so good to see you, man. What's going on, Bobby? To Die For. And we have another one here. We have This Is Such a Perfect Storm for Zach. I mean, he just did Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now Army of the Dead is coming out. Oh, yeah, and at the end of the year, he's got a series. A bidding war for streamers will brew soon. Yes, everybody says that. What's up, Bobby? Good to see you. He says, hey, ZodWriter. Always a pleasure to see you, man. To Die For. And we got Baby Girl saying Sucker Punch revealed how misogynistic games, movies, and TV really are. In a way, but I think, again, Sucker Punch was more psychological. Sucker Punch was basically the main character, the blonde girl, and I don't remember her name at this time. But what it revealed was that she was struggling, and every single character was...
It's actually about Sweet Pea, the girl that gets away at the end. It's all in her head.
Yes. It's a fit. Yeah, exactly. You're right. I'm sorry. It was about her, and basically every character in that movie was a figment of her imagination,
or something that's happened to her, though, too. Like Blue and all those characters were things that she'd ran into,
representing something traumatic that happened to her. Yes, you're exactly right. That's exactly it.
So the idea is the human trafficking and misogyny, that shouldn't be uncomfortable for the studio when they're making a film about, like, that topic, because girls' lives are scary if you believe it or not. I mean, they go through some terrible shit in this world, and I think that Zach was ahead of something, and I think that movie is called gross fan service pervert shit very wrongly, because I don't think the people that call that movie that actually ever watched it.
No, they didn't. They basically treated it. It was like Sucker Punch was like the Cuties of its time, basically.
Oh no,
like they equated it to that. They didn't even watch the film, and they don't know what they're complaining about. So it's like if you didn't watch the film, you really don't know. And again, the studio meddled with the film, so we didn't even get the film that Zach intended.
Yeah, it was used in the smear campaign of people trying to destroy Zach's reputation in how he treats female characters, and then of course every actress that has worked with him up till BVS at the time, the smear campaign was happening, including those in Sucker Punch, were all coming to his defense, saying, "No, that's not true. No, he treats us all as well as the men, and the film, you're not watching the films properly." Basically, was what everyone was saying.
But isn't that the truth, though? Isn't that the truth at this point, Hugo? Where these people, they don't watch the films. So the outrage is completely fake. The outrage is fraudulent, because if you didn't watch the film, you have no right to talk about it. How are you going to criticize something that you didn't watch? How do you know what's in the movie if you didn't see it for yourself?
Because some guy on YouTube told me I should be mad about it, is what they'll tell you.
Right. And the funny part is, Johnny, that's exactly what they'll say. They'll use that as a legitimate argument, and that is not a legitimate argument. My rule of thumb is I have to watch the movie for myself, no matter how bad somebody says it is. Because if I don't see it for myself, I cannot legitimately speak for it or against it one way or the other. Look, I absolutely hated the movie a Serbian film. I will never watch that movie again as long as I am alive on this earth, in this life or the next. It was one of the most despicable, disgusting films I've ever seen put to film. But if I didn't see the movie, I have no right to be outraged. I have no reason to complain about it. I have no reason to talk negatively about it because I didn't see it. I can only go off what other people say about it. So if I'm going to be that way, then I have to watch the movie regardless of whether or not I think it's going to be my cup of tea or not, just to be able to be allowed to legitimately form an opinion. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people are driven by other people's opinions. That's the reason why Warner Brothers is so reactionary. Oh, the critics on Rotten Tomatoes didn't like BVS. Half the critics on Rotten Tomatoes didn't even watch BVS. Are you kidding me? Half those critics watched the trailer and wrote their review up based off of the trailer. It's horrible. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If you're gonna hate on something, then you have to watch it so that you can get an idea and understand. And if after you watch it and you're honest and you legitimately hate it, then you have your reasons for legitimately hating it. And when you say it, people know you're telling the truth.
I remember like the first week, wasn't it like at like a 10 on Rotten Tomatoes? Like it was ridiculously stupidly low. Like a movie that was made as competently as BVS, even if it was written as badly as Mortal Kombat was, there's no way it should have gotten that low of a rating. That movie is made very well. It's a very good looking film. The action stunts look very great.
Yeah, I mean the visuals alone.
Even if you didn't like the story beats. Yeah. Should have gotten
the visuals alone, the Alex Ross style visuals alone for that movie should have garnered that movie a much higher rating, because I've seen fan trailers of movies that people rave about, that they talk about how much they love them in their comic book, and they're just fan trailers, and people are go gaga over them for the visuals. And you're going to tell me that BVS didn't have enough great comic book iconography for you to give the movie a higher rating than a like 8% on Rotten Tomatoes? I mean, give me a break. I'm to the point where that's why I don't put any stock in anything, because these critics are not really critics. They don't watch movies. They are like, they're the equivalent of a grade school child who has to write a book report, and he reads the back flap of the book and writes his report based on that, just basically making stuff up as he goes along. I've had it. That's why I don't trust any critics. And you know what? There's a few critics out there I used to kind of respect, but I've lost all respect for all of them. I'm at the point where I only rely on myself when it comes to movies and opinion. And then friends of mine that I'm really close to that I know actually watch the movies as well. Like Johnny, I've taken so many recommendations for films from Johnny, and it's like he never steers me wrong because he knows my taste in film. So if he tells me, hey, there's this movie with Nicolas Cage called Jiu-Jitsu on Netflix. You got to check it out. You're really going to love it, because he knows I like cheesy movies like that. If I watch it, I already know that I'm going to enjoy it. So I already go into it with a positive mindset, because I'm like, okay, yeah, Johnny said this was cool. This is the kind of movie, I like. I'm down. And then I enjoy the movie and I have a good time. But if the movie's garbage and I come away thinking I didn't like it, at least I got to see it from beginning to end. And I know for myself what it is here. And Baby Girl says, damn, I love Holt, but I can't stand Sparkles. I'm with you. Nicholas Holt would have been a much better Batman, which is why that was Matt Reeves' first choice. There's a reason why, because Nicholas Holt is a better actor.
Yeah, he's good, man. I didn't know he was even in contention.
Oh, yeah. The studio forced him, though. The studio forced Matt Reeves to pick Robert Pattinson. And you get people all over the internet that will fight with me on that and be like, no, Robert Pattinson was Matt Reeves' first choice. No, he wasn't. Matt Reeves did not want Robert Pattinson. Look it up. He chose Nicholas Hoult, but that's okay.
Matt
That's all
Reeves
right.
probably wanted to get Andy Serkis to do mocap, and then they just put in like the coolest Batman anybody's ever seen CGI'd in there. That's how I'd figure Matt Reeves would roll.
with the white eyes and everything from
Straight
like the
up,
animated series. You know, I could see Matt Reeves going for complete O'Neill accuracy. You know, Danny O'Neill comic book accuracy. I mean, I don't know. I think, but see, when I found out about Nicholas Hoult being his first choice, I had more respect for him. I realized, I'm like, my God, I'm not the only one that can't stand Sparkles. I'm not the only one that thought Sparkles was a bad idea as Batman. I'm like, look at this.
Well, on paper, Matt Reeves' Batman movie should be amazing. I mean, his fucking Apes films were incredible. I mean,
they couldn't be more, but they couldn't be more diametrically opposed as actors either.
Yeah,
Sparkles versus Nicholas Hoult. I mean, I could
they're both
actually
young,
see
pretty
Nicholas Hoult as
boys,
Batman.
Yeah, they're both kind of young, pretty boys, but Nicholas Holt's got an edgier side to him. He looks a little rougher, you know what I mean? Like when you watch Fury Road and some movies where he plays edgier characters, he looks legit. Like I forget,
he would have been awesome.
What's that movie he did with Felicity Jones, where like Ben Kingsley's making them run drugs or something?
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
And he was a total badass in that, and so like yeah, I could see him like really being. I will give Pattinson a shot, but like knowing that Holt could have played it, I am a little disappointed now.
And with that, I'd like to welcome Cisco to the ZodWriter show. Welcome, my man. What's up? How you feeling tonight, brother?
Doing good. I just wanted to chime in, listen to you guys. Don't mind me. I'm just having some dinner right now, doing a bell. I don't want to eat too much while I'm streaming with you guys, you know.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm glad you could make it. It's always a pleasure to have you on here, man. Usually when you come in here, we've usually got a full panel of like 9 people, and you come in and you're like number 10, and then you get drowned out by everybody and we can hardly hear what you're saying. So I'm glad you chose tonight to come on so that we can actually hear what you have to say. It's good to hear from you, man.
Thanks, brother. It's been a while. Just been taking a break from all this and then taking a look and just from the outside in at all this WB Warner Brothers mess.
Yes.
I love this.
I want to chime in on this real quick right here.
Okay.
Just regarding AT&T and what they got to do eventually. I mean, this is just coming to a head. I mean, any organization, when you take over a company, right? I mean, and looking for the sports analogy, right? You're a new owner. You're going to be looking at your subordinates and then getting everybody together and figuring out what the vision is for the company going forward, right? And it just amazes me, and it has to happen eventually, because the PR problems that Warner Media and Warner Brothers Pictures is having is just overbearing, and it's going to keep getting worse. But you want to evaluate everybody, right, based on what they're doing, and I'm hoping AT&T is in that evaluation mode of evaluating Emmerich, Sarnoff, Hamada, because you can't stand for this. You just cannot. You have to clean house eventually and bring in your own people that are going to follow the company's vision, and they're going to be team players, right? I mean,
yes.
Look. I have some friends that I've been debating on and off for the last week or two, and they're not Snyder fans. They like Justice League, blah blah blah. But they're more the corporate shills for Warner Brothers. Playing devil's advocate. They're against Ray Fisher, and I'm telling you, how could? And they actually think it's a conspiracy. What are you talking about? It's a conspiracy. I was like, well, I never said anything about a conspiracy. It's based on actions, right, that have been going on for the last year within Warner Media and Warner Brothers Pictures, the execs. I mean, everything's been timed. Whatever they do a hit piece, or they come out with some stupid Twitter feed or something stupid to say regarding or dissing Zack Snyder in some way, shape, or form, releasing the Justice League 4K for no apparent reason. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. I mean, Zod, you got to see it. And when you're a new ownership, you got to look at your subordinates and say who are team players and who are not. And I'm going to look at other talent within the industry to replace you if you're not on board with our vision, or if you try and sabotage internally. And that's exactly what's going on. And it's pretty blatantly obvious.
this goes to what Rel actually just wrote about. The critical response to the Snyder Cut is probably driving the execs crazy, adding pressure to the future projects. The thing is, the critical response is something that I guarantee you Warner Brothers never thought. I personally didn't think that people would reevaluate the film and actually watch it on its own merits. I literally thought when the Snyder Cut would be aired, there would be a million bad reviews already written, and it would just get shit on and buried. And I guarantee you that that was what Warner Brothers was counting on as well. And the fact that it backfired so drastically in their faces, I would love to be a fly in some of those exec rooms after that, because they are reevaluating their reevaluations, because like that was unforeseen, because I didn't think people would reevaluate the film the way they did. And man, it's a mass turnaround for Zach, and his fan base is validated. You guys are validated. He's validated, and it's not looking good for them. And like you're saying, at some point they're going to have to either tighten up and play ball, or AT&T is going to have to smack some asses.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. And you know, there always comes a point, like Cisco was saying, where things come to a head. You know, something has to give. You're not going to be. You can't. AT&T has to realize at this point that they cannot serve two masters on this. They've either got to commit fully to what Walter Hamada wants to do, or they have to commit to the Snyderverse. And eventually that's what the decision, what it's all going to boil down to. And as far as I'm concerned, I feel like AT&T has already chosen the Snyderverse, because number one, they already shot down Trench and New Gods, which were two of Walter Hamada's pet projects. They shot them both down.
Yeah.
I mean, why would they do that? Why would you shoot down two of Walter Hamada's pet projects if you're 100% committed to the Hamadaverse and the direction that he wants to take things away from where Zack Snyder is going? And then they know that they have The Rock in tow, who, if rumors are to be believed, is 100% on board with the Snyderverse. And why is he 100% on board with the Snyderverse? Because his agent, ex-wife, is also the agent of Snyder's Superman, Henry Cavill. And what Superman does The Rock want to face off against? He wants to face off against Henry Cavill. He doesn't want to face off against Wakanda Man. He doesn't want to do anything like that. He wants to face off against Henry Cavill's Superman. So I don't know.
And Rock probably he sees the production value and the creative wherewithal of Zack Snyder, right? He sees that. He sees that, man. Look at the way Zack does his visuals. Look at the way he does his action sequences. Look at his complex storytelling. Look at the team that he has behind his stunts and his fight sequences and his costume design. He sees all that. He's like, man, of course, yeah, brother, I want to work with this man. Why wouldn't he want to work with that man? You know what I mean? So he sees it.
And here's another great comment. Kevin Feige is a smart producer. He knows he needs to change the course. Doctor Strange will be a straight-up horror movie because he needs to use that to introduce Blade and Moon Knight's sons. Yes. See, Kevin Feige isn't stupid. And people say things to me like, well, then what would it be like if, say, for example, they sold DC to Disney? What would happen? Then you would have Kevin Feige. I'll tell you one thing that Kevin Feige would do. I'll tell you the first thing Kevin Feige would do if he got DC. If Disney were to somehow acquire DC, I'll tell you what would happen. He would restore the Snyderverse. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he knows that there's a demand for it, and he knows that there's a huge fan base, and he knows
he's a personal fan too. He's a fan of the film personally.
Yeah. He's a fan of him personally, and he knows that when the day comes when he wants to make that Marvel versus DC movie, he's going to want to have Zack Snyder on board. let's just put it that way for a minute. I watched, and I'm gonna piggyback back off of that with something. When I watched WandaVision, when I binge watched WandaVision last week, watched all the episodes, I was amazed when in that final episode where there was the fight between the two visions, how many references there were in that fight to Man of Steel. My God, there were so many shots that were literally lifted directly from Man of Steel, even down to the neck breaking. Vision did a neck breaking hold, the same hold where when Superman snapped Zod's neck in Man of Steel, that same hold was used in the Vision versus Vision fight. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There were so many references to Man of Steel in that Vision versus Vision fight. So we know that the people in Marvel, and that's not the only example, but that's just one that I can give off the top of my head, because there were some examples in Endgame as well where they lifted from Zack Snyder. But here's the thing. We know that they're fans of Zack Snyder. They're super fans of what Zack is doing, because they know they cannot replicate his visual style no matter what they do. It comes off as cookie cutter carbon copy. So if Kevin Feige can somehow get Zack Snyder over to Marvel, even if it's just for, what was that movie? Ghost Rider, a Ghost Rider movie. Or they could say to Zack, we'll give you Ghost Rider, and if Ghost Rider is a success, you can make whatever Marvel movie you want. I mean, I don't think, Kevin Feige isn't stupid. So that's one of the things where I think if we want the Snyderverse restored, I don't think that'll ever happen, but that's another way that it could go down.
And Zack's not stupid either. He'll step into there knowing exactly what he's going to be working under with the Marvel mandates and regulations, and he's going to make the damn nicest, prettiest Marvel movie we've seen. He's going to make that movie that looks like all the ones they want to make, because Marvel don't know how to color grade a movie to save their life, unlike Zack.
Well, that's very true. The color grading for Marvel movies is really, really crap. Although I do admit that the color grading for Winter Soldier was pretty decent.
Hey Zod,
Winter Soldier. Yeah, go ahead, Hugo.
Could you imagine the Warner Brothers board meeting for DC Films if they got the news that Zack was directing Ghost Rider, that he was signed on, they had a predicted release date, they were going to go shooting soon, and you could imagine Hamada, Emmerich, and Ansanov on their Skype call, and they're saying, we were trying to copy Marvel, what do we do now? They go back there.
Oh, yeah.
What can we do? Yeah. Do we copy Marvel now?
It'll be a nightmare for him. Yeah, it'll be a nightmare for him. If that happens, can you imagine the AT&T board members? Exactly, the AT&T, the head honchos, the big bosses? Then they're going to be really looking down at the Warner Brothers executives and Warner Media execs and like, this happened because of you guys.
It's game over.
They'd really have to start taking you guys serious, though, and that's when the Snyderverse would really start getting restored, though, as if he did get that Marvel gig. I mean, like, that would be like the crux for your guys' cause.
Well,
I know, as opposite as that sounds, him landing a Marvel gig would be the thing that you guys need the most to happen.
It's actually not only that, it's actually one of those things where if you look at and it doesn't even have to be anything major. That's why I say like Ghost Rider would be perfect.
Electro, Punisher, like dude said down here, those are other really good options. Hell, they could have him do season 2 of the Moon Knight show on Disney Plus, which would be amazing. I'd watch the hell out of him do a fucked up character like Moon Knight.
Yeah. I think what'll happen is he'll do that Ghost Rider movie, and it'll be a massive success. The level of like, say, how Guardians of the Galaxy was successful.
Black Panther, $1 billion movie.
Black Panther. It'll be $1 billion Ghost Rider movie. And Marvel will be looking at Zack Snyder like he's the hero of all heroes. Because the idea of making $1 billion Ghost Rider movie would be just insane. You're talking about, a movie that, they did twice with the same actor. and it didn't work out. So if they decide to do, it would even be funnier if Zach said the hell with it, knowing that he's got all of us behind him.
You got Nicolas Cage back.
He got Nicolas Cage back again.
Oh yeah.
And then cracks $1 billion.
Ghost Rider team up.
Yes. And then it cracks $1 billion, and it's just like, are you serious? It's like, how the hell, Zach, did you manage to pull that off? Well, it's to show Zack Snyder's value, essentially, to be able to do whatever, and then he would be able to make that Punisher movie or that Daredevil, that Frank Miller Daredevil adaptation that he's always wanted to make. Those kinds of things can happen if he takes a little property like Ghost Rider and he makes $1 billion movie out of it. So listen, I'm game. I hope it happens, because like Johnny was saying, that will only show Warner Brothers the value of what happened when they let their ex go with somebody else. I'm just, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get how you don't want this guy, but you're afraid that he might go to this other studio because he's a quality director. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just,
he's got one of the weirdest Hollywood stories I've ever heard of. Like, I still do not understand the just utter disposition people grew for him out of nowhere, because nothing he made deserves the hate that Zack Snyder got for years there at all, in my opinion.
These days, nobody is talking about 90% of Marvel's movies, and people are still talking about BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League today. Well, yeah, it's because what Johnny and I were talking about earlier, Ray.
Microwave popcorn movies. People forgot about the Marvel movies. They haven't had one in a month or two.
Right. You go to a movie theater, you get your popcorn, you get your food, you sit down and you chill, and you love the Marvel movie because you can turn your brain off and you can be like, oh, this is great entertainment. It's like when Martin Scorsese compared Marvel to theme parks.
Yeah.
He was 100% right, man. I mean, let me tell you something. There was nothing better than sitting in a movie theater, eating those good, overpriced chicken tenders and French fries, watching a Marvel movie, because you can walk out of that Marvel movie and never think about it again. I love it.
And had a good time while you were there, and then leave, just been like, woo, that was fun. What was it?
Just like going to Six Flags. Exactly the same experience. You're just like, wow, that was fun. Okay, what am I going to do tonight? What I got to do tomorrow? It's not, and I'm not, and that's not me criticizing. That's not me criticizing Marvel. I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing when you can go watch a movie, have a maximum A+ experience when you're sitting there theatrically, and then walk out and never give it a second thought. I think that's great. It's like you have this, you meet this great hookup that you never thought in the world you were going to hook up with this person, and you hook up, and then the next day you're happy as hell, and you'll never see that person ever again. And you think about it from time to time just because it was a great experience or whatnot. But I mean, you have other things to deal with. You have other things. That's how a Marvel movie is. Once a month, Marvel gives you something great. And once you've experienced it in the theater for what it is, you can move on with your life.
I just watched the Falcon and the Snowman with the gun or whatever that show is called.
I haven't watched that. I haven't watched that yet.
And that was great. It's actually a pretty good sequel to Winter Soldier. But it was fun for when I was watching it, and it's over, and I'll watch it when it comes back on again. But it's not going to keep rent space in my head until it comes back out. That's for sure.
Well, but then if you apply that logic to me, Zod, you get me thinking about all those hookups and how we couldn't use more of the Red Skull before we came back in Endgame. Sometimes you got me thinking, why did they not do this? They have plenty of time. Why did you do that?
Well, yeah. It's like a hookup that isn't necessarily awesome in every way, but there's stuff in it that's just great.
You really like her, and she's great, but then she talks, and you're just kind of like,
or she just there's just some things that you don't really care about. You're glad or she's she's committed. She's in a committed relationship, so she can't see you again. Yeah. That's how I feel. That's what I feel about Marvel, kind of. It's like it's the same way, because I feel like I'm committed to DC. I'm committed to the Snyderverse. So when I watch a Marvel movie, I tend to get, but like I said, for me, Marvel does a bang up job theatrically. You sit down and you enjoy it for the time. It has your full attention at the time that it's released. But I've never been somebody that's going to sit there and revisit any of these movies. I think Winter Soldier is like the only Marvel movie I've ever seen twice.
And yes, and when you give us the goddamn Kingdom Come animated movie, do not do it in the Bruce Timm animated style.
Lord, hopefully not.
Actually give it a nice stylized anime style, or animated style, not anime. Like,
well, what it needs is a lot of money put behind it. It's like Superman Lives. If you're going to adapt that as an animated movie, you've got to go all the way with budget. Agreed. Being able to pay the actors you want, because you want high caliber actors for these kind of projects as well. So people will come and see them even if they're not familiar with the story. That's why
they should let Zack Snyder's Justice League cast come in and do the voicing for Kingdom Come.
So that's kind of what he wanted to do in a weird roundabout way. Half of his shit was based on Kingdom Come, anyways, from what I could tell.
I mean, it would be amazing. Rel McMillan says everything went to crap after Days of Future Past. I think he's talking about X-Men. I don't know.
Crap before that. Like X-Men 2 the beginning was great with the Nightcrawler scene. After that,
no. I must disagree. X-Men 2 is great. It shouldn't have deleted any of the scenes it took out. They were fine to be left in.
Cyan Blue says X-Men was excellent. Coming from Batman and Robin, which ruined comic book films, Singer at least tried to do a good superhero movie. It was well directed. Too much focus on Wolverine, but it was good. Okay.
Well, he was following from the momentum of Blade, wasn't he, of course, with Stephen Norrington? Because everyone doesn't give Blade or Men in Black credit enough for saving the
comic book movies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Broham says, out of all the Marvel movies, I only like 3. Which 3 do you like, Broham? Let us know.
Winter Soldier, Iron Man, and come on, what would the third one be?
Logan.
I guarantee you. No, Marvel. That's not a Marvel movie. That's a Fox movie.
Oh. Well, that explains it.
You want to go with Guardians of the Galaxy? That seems like a safe one. I'm betting that his 3 are Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Iron Man.
Well, that's not a bad 3. For me, it's
those aren't my 3. I'm betting that those are his 3.
Well, what are your 3, Johnny?
Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man 1, and Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier, and then Ant-Man 1.
Mine are Winter Soldier, Roger Corman's Fantastic Four,
yes,
and Iron Man 1.
Oh, we could. If I knew I could put Blade 2 in there, I'd add Blade 2 as number.
Yeah, you could put Blade 2 in there.
Okay, that would be my number 3 over Ant-Man.
Because again, for me, I say this all the time, which is why I have the movie at arm's length here on Blu-ray. Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. This is the best Marvel movie, in my opinion, ever put to film, and I hope it. I would love to see it get a remaster and an official Marvel Blu-ray release, but I don't think it'll ever happen. But I love it. I'm happy to have it on Blu-ray with director's commentary. By the way, it is wonderful.
Rip it and put it up on YouTube, because the guy who has his copy up on YouTube, it's got this hum to it. It's annoying to try to watch, and That's the only one I watch.
I'll have to
Fantastic.
rewatch this. I'll have to rewatch this on Blu-ray. I think I did rip it and put it on my Plex account. It may be on my Plex account because I don't think my Plex account copy has the hum. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you got to go on there
on YouTube.
Yeah, you got to go on my Plex account. If you don't have access to my Plex account, DM me on Twitter and I'll hook you up because I put up a lot of stuff on there that you can't really get anywhere else. I try to I have a very diverse library on Plex.
Yeah, and don't worry, the movies that he talked about earlier that you don't want to see, he doesn't have on there. So yeah, don't worry about that stuff. He's not that kind of film fan.
Jacob Luty says the only X-Men movies that I liked were First Class, The Wolverine, and Days of Future Past.
It's arguably a good trilogy, and you can watch that.
And Logan, he says, and Logan. Well, yeah. I don't know. I like First Class. I think First Class is. I would have to say I kind of gotta say that I think First Class is my favorite X-Men movie.
I liked the New Mutants. I thought that was actually pretty decent. I thought the story sucked, but the characterizations were great.
I haven't seen New Mutants.
They actually did like the roster pretty good. I thought it was a pretty all right movie as far as X-Men stuff go, but like it could have been a little more exciting. Like the big villain fight was a little disappointing, but
Gerald Crowder says here, just by the opening of Dawn of the Dead, I knew Zach was something serious. Yeah, for real. That's that Dawn of the Dead movie.
Wow. Truth, I hated it. I was so diametrically opposed to that film because of the running zombies. I was furious. I was just dead set on fucking hating Dawn of the Dead. And then, about after this little zombie little girl, I was in love. And I like it better than the original, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And I didn't think that was possible because, I mean, Romero was a genius.
So we're talking about rubber band effects of unnatural proportions here. I did not see me turning around on that film like I did. And his Dawn of the Dead is just
a masterpiece.
Him as one of my favorites ever. Like that's why I'll probably always give Zach a chance.
Oh yeah, it was a masterpiece, which is why Army of the Dead is going to be a sight to behold because it's going to be
He's returning. He's
returning, I believe, aren't they?
Unhinged, and completely uncensored, uncut. I can't wait. Oh my God. People kill me when they try to say CA's trilogy is the best because of Civil War. I agree with Johnny. Civil War shouldn't count as a Captain America movie.
Do I?
I agree too. I wanted Serpent Society. I really did. Don't think that Civil War should have been made. They only made Civil War because they wanted to capitalize on the popularity of that storyline. And they knew that competing with Batman v Superman, they needed a storyline that was going to be big.
Well,
so
if they were going to make that movie, I don't like the movie very much anyways, but if they were going to make that movie, they should have called it Marvel's Civil War or Avengers Civil War. The fact that it was called Captain America Civil War is just wrong. And
we were robbed. We should have got Serpent Society. We were robbed. Serpent Society should have been the next Captain America, and then if they wanted to make Marvel Civil War or Avengers Civil War, whatever, it would have been just another Avengers movie.
Yeah, it's the Avengers 3. It's the true one.
The home release has like no extras. Where are the deleted scenes? There's 4 versions of the Batman Joker interaction and even a rumored conversation between Bruce and Alfred meeting Dick Grayson. Okay.
What release is he speaking of?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Batman and Robin?
Ray, you're going to have to reiterate there. I know I'm behind on the chat because I'm trying to read all of the different, trying to give everybody their due and read all of their comments here.
Wouldn't be Batman and Robin though. They should never talk about Batman and Robin.
And Broham says, and thanks to China. Okay, here we go. And What would be the initial budget for Justice League 2 and Justice League 3? I'm thinking at least $300 million for each. I don't think it would be that much because I think Zack Snyder would shoot Justice League 2 and 3 back to back just to make sure both of them got made.
Yeah, so I'd probably need about 5 to get both of them shot because they're gonna probably cost at least $2.5 million. Like I'm pretty sure that the first one had to cost somewhere near that. I mean, just how beautiful and how much there was in it and how long that was. And if he's gonna make 2 more like that are probably gonna be longer, he's gonna need a lot of money. We're talking $500 million.
Okay, and Rel McMillan says, Zod, I think Gal and Ratner have beef, so that would be a disaster. Rel, just so you know, brother, I wasn't being serious about them bringing Brett Ratner back. I know they would never bring Brett Ratner back to direct another comic book movie, but I was just saying because WB is not about style or substance. All their movies are just now about just cookie cutter made by committee, that they can basically get any director to direct whatever studio script they choose to make because they don't need visionary directors. They just need run-of-the-mill cookie cutter. That's why I say Brett Ratner wasn't a particularly good director, but he could come in and he could direct a movie by committee script. So I wouldn't be, so that's what I meant by that. I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, didn't Gal already get him fired?
Yeah, Gal got him canceled. So I don't think that there's any. I don't think there's any way that we would ever have to worry about Brett Ratner coming in directing a Wonder Woman movie. I mean,
Rush Hour 4, though, maybe.
Rush Hour 4.
I'd rather Rush Hour 4 than anything else. Then he can go back to director's retirement home.
And Anthony says, Grace Randolph says there's going to be articles in Hollywood Reporter tomorrow. Okay, cool. I'll have to look out for Grace because I love Grace Randolph. She's really, I really think she's on point when it comes to this Snyderverse stuff. Anthony says, I feel like it's WB. Okay. And Igor, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Good evening, brother. Zod and company. Igor is a great dude, man. Love Igor. And Steven says, yo, what's up, Steven? Jeff Johns has shit for brains when it comes to making movies. Yeah, I'm
writing comics.
I'm writing comics too.
Needs his ghostwriter team that he's missing deadlines for, and it upsets them.
Yeah. Igor says live action is not what he's good at. Stay in your lane, Jeff. And yeah, he's a shitty human being too. Well, you pretty much summed it all up, Igor. Couldn't have said it better. And baby girl just piles on. Jeff Johns is a racist, overrated. Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm no racist. I married 2 people of color in my lifetime.
Right. I've had 2 marriages that didn't work with people of color, so I can't possibly be. Oh, okay, Jeff. And like my mom always says, you can polish the turd, but at the end of the day, it's still a piece of shit. Okay, yeah, well, I can't disagree with that. Igor, he shouldn't be allowed near Alan Moore's characters. Couldn't agree more. And Ryan Hop says, what's up, guys? What's up, Ryan? Good to see you. Belle Reeve Mendez says, hey, I'm back. I'm glad you're back, Belle Reeve. It's always a pleasure having you here in the chat. I didn't even know you were gone because it's been so long. I've been just going down the list here, and we're talking about
how many Marvel
comments.
Movies have come out since she left.
Yeah, I know, right? And she says, sorry, ZodWriter, what y'all talking about now? Well, you didn't miss a whole lot. Well, you may have missed a whole lot depending on what you're interested in there, Belle Reeve, because we've been covering everything that everybody's been saying in the chat. We've been trying to follow along. So I appreciate this. This is a smaller panel than what we usually have on the ZodWriter show from week to week. So I'm enjoying
keeping it interesting, though, man. That's what I like about these panels. You get the coolest, neatest, most different people each week, and I like it, man.
I do too. I love it. I love it. So Cisco and Hugo, thank you so much for joining, man. You guys are awesome. This is so much fun. And Jacob Ludy says Looking Glass was cool. Yes, that episode with Looking Glass for the Watchmen series was the episode of that series. That was the episode. That's the episode to see. And Cisco, you said, Chubby, exactly. The Jeff Johns is God. People think he can do no wrong. Jeff Johns also has certain bloggers and trade writers like Umberto in their pockets. Oh yeah, Umberto the Galactic Flip Flopper. If anybody listens to Umberto the Galactic Flip Flopper after he came out and all of his sources said, "Sorry, Snyder Cut Bros, the Snyder Cut is deaded. It's not coming out. It's a pipe dream." Yeah, we see how that turned out, Umberto. Okay. Oh, it doesn't exist. Okay, Umberto, we're gonna take you at your word, and we're gonna just leave it alone because you don't know anything and you don't have a source. If you got a source, I got a source too, and he's a puppet named Julio that's over there on the other side of my apartment.
Oh, and he's always been a character too. Like he's been around since our early days, man. Back in the Nolan Wars, man. He was writing puff pieces about Dark Knight Returns, and he was always wrong about that shit too. Remember, Zod?
I remember. How could I forget? Boy, oh boy. Yeah, we had another name for that war too, but we won't mention that here. Jacob Ludi, the soundtrack to the Watchmen series was also pretty good. Yeah, it did have a pretty good soundtrack. It had decent music. And Bell Reeve says, Rel, I love First Class and Days of Future Past. Cool.
You can thank Zach for that soundtrack though. I think that adding the really rocking music to Watchmen was a motif he kind of set into place, because I think there were some music cues in the comic, but nowhere near the ones that he dropped on in the movie. And then the show, they may have tried to avoid his storyline, but they definitely bit a lot of his style, especially with his scoring and some of his visual style too for the series. So yeah. For something that was supposedly trying to avoid what Zach did, they kind of copied him a lot, which I thought was funny.
Yeah. And Truth31 agrees with me and says, Invincible is incredible. Yes, brother, it is wonderful. It's perfectly on point. That's what I want Johnny to binge watch so we could discuss it at length next week, because it's definitely one of my favorites right now.
Yeah, I'm going to get down with some Kirkman goodness, man.
Rel McMillan says, I just finished Invincible earlier today. It was amazing. Yes, Rel, it was great. Anthony says, Invincible is a 10. You see what's happening here, Johnny? I'm noticing a trend.
Next week, we're doing an Invincible show, and you guys all call in, and we'll talk about it. Hell yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm like, a bunch of people here want to get on the horn and talk about Invincible. We're good to go. Baby Girl says, I just saw Zack Snyder was afraid WB would sue him if he supported the Snyder Cut movement. That's possible.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them having some kind of threats like that against him.
Yeah, that's why they basically, gag ordered him for so long. He could support the Snyder Cut movement, but everything that he did had to be low key, because he knew if he did too much, the studio could come after him. Zach is not dumb. He is a smart dude. So.
Everything that he's done thus far has been really good at towing a line at where he cannot be called hard to work with. He cannot have that label slapped on him, because he hasn't gone across. He hasn't put anybody on blast. He hasn't screwed anybody over. He has been nice, amicable, and on point with everybody, even the people who are against him. So that is his key power right now, is that he is like you, Zod. He is like a broker of peace type motherfucker, and people he's really good at it. And that's his superpower, and it's a good thing that he has going for him, because it's going to move him forward. And that's why Army of the Dead and all this is popping off, because Warner Brothers can't sit there and be like, this guy's hard to work with. See, he antagonizes us to his fan. He tells you guys, you guys keep fighting, but be respectful. Don't go too far on these guys. I mean, he gets after you guys when you guys do bad shit too. So he is a good ringleader for his little organization. And I gotta say, man, he plays the game better than anybody else.
Well, I just want to ask you, Johnny, do you still believe that we should apply for tax exempt status?
I don't see why not. I mean, you guys are pretty much an affiliated religion at this point. I wouldn't call you a cult anymore, but I still think you guys should stick with the Children of Martha moniker. I think it's got class to it. I think it's got a nice sound, and a nice ring. But yeah,
Children
you
of
guys should.
Children
You
of
guys,
Martha charity event. Yeah.
you guys should totally still spring for that tax exempt status, though, man. Like as a bona fide religion, not as a cult anymore.
Not as a cult anymore. Yeah. Some would disagree. Some would say that there is a Snyder cult, but I personally,
they ain't got to meet you guys yet, man.
No. It's definitely not. Jeff Johns started feeling himself way too much, and it all backfired. His overconfidence and cockiness did him in. I agree, Cisco. Great point. Great point. Daniel Martin says Rotten Tomatoes had too much influence as well as the critics at the time. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I hate that whole thing, man.
Okay. And Ray says Rocky IV's director's cut is going to be hype as hell. Drago has more lines and Apollo lasts longer in his fight. Oh, I can't wait. They developed Drago more in the trailer for Rocky IV than they did in the movie Rocky IV. So I would really love to see Drago have more in this movie. It's going to be awesome. Ryan here says Rocky IV director's cut will be awesome. I agree, definitely. Midwest 93. Hey, Zod, what's up, Midwest? Good to see you, man.
Hey, do they have a date or anything kind of planned for when that should be released, that Rocky IV director's cut?
Not that I can tell as of yet, but Sylvester Stallone keeps popping up on these sites talking about it. So it can't. I think it's gonna happen this year.
Awesome.
We just don't know when.
Keep kicking ass, Sly.
Steven says death by 1,000 director's cuts. There you go. And Cisco says looking forward to the Rocky IV director's cut. And Midwest 93 says, what's up, Hugo? What's up, Hugo?
My ceiling.
And Damien says, fire USA Warner Brothers execs AT&T. Hashtag. Yes, Damien. Couldn't agree more, brother. Let's see. Zack Snyder. He's so hot right now. Yes, he is. Let's see. Sup, Firewater. Good to see you, man. Where you been? Haven't seen you very much lately. What's shaking? Yeah, that's the question I'm asking here. Firewater. Let's see. Baby doll. All right. And Damien says, not me. Why? But Feige said it's PG-13 and you are going to like it. Well, that's kind of the mentality that he has. Baby girl says, was her name in Sucker Punch? See, this is going back way farther when we were talking about Sucker Punch like an hour and a half ago. I refuse to watch a Serbian film or Cuties.
Go ahead. I don't blame you.
Well,
don't watch either of them.
Your life isn't going to suffer by not watching those films. Let's just put it that way. You're in a good place, baby girl.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
I will not. I will tell you, and I will tell you that it is. I highly recommend that you stick to your current refusal. That makes perfect sense. I would not. Yeah. I cannot begrudge you at all.
But totally watch Human Centipede Part 2. That one's good.
Oh, no, I'm not watching
I was just being a
smart. Reinhold Floyd says true ZodWriter.
None of them.
Oh. Movie critics trashed The Thing in 1982. Well, yeah.
That's true. They trashed all of John Carpenter's films and I guess wow, man, I never thought about it, but Zack Snyder might be like the new generation John Carpenter. That's a really cool moniker to have, to tell you the truth, because John Carpenter's one of the goats, man.
Yeah, he definitely is. Here's a good question for the panel. Y'all think that Michael J. White would be a good Black Lightning? So like a theatrical Black Lightning? Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Totally.
Just have him join fucking Justice League as Black Dynamite. I'd be okay with that too. Like,
he would be awesome. I mean, anything he's in, he's great. What can I say about him that hasn't already been said? Michael J. White is awesome. I miss Michael J. White as Jax. They should have had Michael J. White as Jax in Mortal Kombat.
Oh man, I was watching that fight. I was like, "Go ahead, Cisco." My bad.
No, I was just saying that would have been good. Michael J. White in Mortal Kombat, and Jai White could do his own stunt in his fight sequences as well.
Yeah, Holt really stole the show in Fury Road for me too, baby girl. Like as Nux, when he started telling this girl the story and he was talking about his tumors and shit, you actually really started feeling bad for the little skeleton bastard, man. Like he was really solid. That was kind of, I think, the film that I really became a fan of his as well. And then as much as I disliked the X-Men movies, I thought he was epic as Beast. I thought he played Hank McCoy great. I just think that he should have been in better films.
Yeah, there's a script available from this writer who did an X-Men film that was supposed to be Beast-centric, and it's available to find and read. I haven't read the copy I downloaded yet, but it sounds like it was going to be a much better film than what we got with Dark Phoenix, which to this day I still haven't watched yet.
Well, Dark Phoenix was horribly meddled with. So, again...
It's not even part of the same continuity. It breaks the whole thing.
Yeah, they already did that story in part 3. Like, how are you going to make part 9 the same movie as part 3? That makes no sense.
Yeah, as far as I saw it, Apocalypse was like the apology to fans over X-Men 3 by saying, here's your Phoenix moment. We will not say anything about it ever again. It happened. We'll just go with it. We'll leave it there. And then they came out with Dark Phoenix, and I thought, well, that's a slap into my face when I thought Apocalypse was saying, we've had the Phoenix moment. We move on from that now.
Yeah. Hey, guys, hope you're doing good, Zod. Hey, hope you're doing good as well. Thank you for being here. And the Truth 31 says some of the WB executives were crying in the shower once the Snyder Cut was a proven success. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I could just see them all sitting around having a big boardroom cry where they're just, sharing. They're like sharing the same cup of coffee, just passing it around. Like that's how bad things are. Like treating it like a funeral, like somebody died, because that's how horrible they are. And we've got somebody new who has decided to join the panel. This is Ryan. Welcome to the ZodWriter Show.
What's up? How you doing?
How you been, man? What's on your mind tonight? Thank you for being here.
Oh my god, the WB is stupid. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're definitely stupid. That's something that we've all pretty much established multiple times. So what's on your mind, man? Anything major?
I don't know why critics crap on The Fin. That was a great horror movie. I don't get it. It's just because E.T. around that time period.
Well, at one point, the sequel for E.T. was supposed to be super dark and super twisted. It was actually supposed to be more of like a horror movie. And then Steven Spielberg decided not to make it because he didn't want to tarnish the possible. He didn't want to tarnish the the popularity of the original. So.
Oh, jeez.
Did you guys know about that? Did you guys know about the ET sequel?
Yeah, Dark Skies, I think it's supposed to be called.
Yeah, I read about that.
Firewater, I did say hi to you, man. Firewater, if you would like to join, bro, the link is in the description. You are more than welcome to join the panel, man. I haven't talked to you in a dog's age. So if you would like to join the panel, you are more than welcome to do so. I apologize because I'm going down the list here, reading all of the comments. There's so many people here tonight. So many people have commented. It's just wonderful to see so much great engagement by the chat here. And Midwest 93 says, DC, keep making it, and Marvel keeps taking it. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Brian, Master and None. No, what's up, man? Good to see you. I didn't even know you were in here. This is awesome. No, I got it figured. Snyder for a Revan movie. Okay. A Raven movie? Raven?
Yeah, Raven.
I would watch that. I mean, it depends on who they cast to play her. I don't know. I guess they'd get Millie Bobby Brown, right? I guess that would probably be the big.
Yeah, more than likely. Something like that.
That'd be pretty good, I guess.
Firewater. Yeah. Again, Firewater, man. If you're still here, man, I know we lost a few viewers. I know you guys have been waiting for me to get to your chats. I'm getting this going as quick as I can because I'm just going down the list here.
Down the list.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're more than welcome to jump in. I mean, hey, man, that's the easiest way to just jump in. That's one of the main reasons why I put the link in the description to make it as easy as possible for people who want to jump in, who have something that they want to say, because it's hard when you're going down the list. I mean, I remember at some point tonight, Bell had left for a little while, came back, and probably left again and then came back. So I don't know. It's just been one of those nights, guys. There's going to be news dropping tomorrow on the Hollywood Reporter that will talk about Warner Brothers executives. Keep an eye on that. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be looking out for that. That's going to be some interesting stuff to talk about, because me and Johnny, we never get bored talking about the Snyderverse controversy.
Well, the sad thing is these goobers, they're just going to end up somewhere else, ruining someplace else. Like Tom Rothman, like he ruined Fox for years, and then they went and hired him at Sony, and now he's like over there being a butthead. So like you might think Walter Hamada is gone, but like he's not. He'll go to Lionsgate, and Lionsgate will start making crappy movies. So
yeah, well,
whatever happened to Avi Arad?
He's still around, isn't he? Doing
he does the cartoons mostly, I think, right? Doesn't he still have all those ties with the TV?
But he's doing something. He's doing something for DC right now. I can't remember what I saw his name on. He's doing something. He might even be associated with the Flash in some way too. There's something he's connected with. I don't know.
Go back to playing with your action figures.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in there. Brian, Master of None, says, "May the 4th be with you." I almost completely forgot that today was a significant day for Star Wars. I just haven't really paid much attention. I had things going on today and I didn't even see it. But I know Disney released something. I think it was a little Simpsons. That, and then the Simpsons special. Wait. Did you guys see the Bad Batch? Did you guys see the first episode?
I did this morning.
Is it any good?
Yeah. It's continuing after season 7, after Order 66.
Oh wow, okay, cool. I'm gonna have to check it out after the show. I didn't see it yet. I completely forgot that came out. That came out today, right?
Yeah, thanks for the heads up, man. I didn't.
That's great. That's awesome. Neo7 says the numbers from China so far are great for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Well, I don't. China, yeah. I think once China takes it, China is going to bring it home for us. I really do believe that's going to play a big factor in what AT&T is looking at here. And Truth31 says whether the films would have been trash or not, Feig would have greenlit multiple Superman films at least. Yes, yeah. Feige would have. Absolutely.
Yep.
And they would have came out as scheduled, as slated, not canceled and then brought back out and then canceled again. And like,
okay, Belle is back. All right, I'm back again. See, she probably left again because that's how long it is by the time I get to all your chats. And Belle's saying she's finally home. Okay, great. I'm glad you're here. I love the fact that you're sticking with us tonight. This is a really, really fun stream. And Ray is saying Zach to do Daredevil season 4 on Netflix.
Fuck yes.
Once that happens. Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Yes, please.
He would
Yes,
he would
please.
adapt it. It would be so deep. It would be the greatest season of Daredevil ever.
Well, as big of a Miller fanboy as he is, could you just think of like how well he would do it too? Just the respect he has for him. Like, yeah, dude, yes, please. Let Zach do that. That's what I'm talking about. Even though they already did the Electra saga. Fuck.
Yep, and
What would you do then?
Bell Reeve says yes. Zack Snyder's story is going to go down in history. It absolutely is. I could not agree more.
Yeah, they'll make movies about the guy in a couple years. I swear to God.
Oh yeah, they'll get Nicholas Hoult to play Zack Snyder.
Didn't he just play J.R.R. Tolkien? That would be awesome. He played both Tolkien and Zack Snyder in
He plays
film.
Tolkien and Snyder. There you go. Rel McMillan, Johnny, the hate comes from gatekeepers. Yes, I agree with Rel right here. This comment, man. Yes. And
Yes.
Bell says that's how we know it's good because everyone, even haters, still talk about BVS. That's true. That is true. There's a reason why people still talk about that movie all these years later. And it hasn't let up. I mean, and that's why I ask, are people still talking about Marvel movies like that? Not really. You don't really see that.
No, not.
You know.
Yeah, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League have all been talked about. And rewatch physical media, the Blu-ray media, every first phase Marvel films, and all those films. Well, Zack Snyder's Justice League, no, but Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman made more money at the worldwide box office than first phase Marvel films.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Warner Brothers' problem is. Warner Brothers just wanted to impress a certain amount of critics, certain amount of people on Rotten Tomatoes is all that they cared about. So basically, Warner Brothers cared about the opinions of all of 10 people. And because those 10 people didn't like BVS, that's why we're in the mess that we're in right now. Brian Master of None says Star Wars Marathon. That's what's up. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Talking about Marvel Midwest 93, most of their films are very forgettable. Yes, I agree. Rel McMillan says, I have a friend who hated BVS, called Ben Affleck Fat Batman. Whoever seeing it, I got him to watch Man of Steel first, then the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman, and he has now been converted. He thinks that the Snyder cut is a masterpiece. You see, that's what I'm talking about. It's like when you get people who didn't like any of Zack Snyder's movies, but watched the Snyder cut and had a super positive experience from it, they can watch the Snyder cut and then they can go back and watch the previous Snyder films and respect those movies because they see now what Snyder was going for. They see now that Snyder was eventually going to bring things around in a more happy and optimistic, direction. They can see that, and you get it. You can get that. You can totally see. And I'm not saying that Darkseid and Apocalypse is necessarily lighthearted material, but
No.
the reality is that Zack Snyder's Justice League is definitely a lighter toned film than BVS. BVS was super deep. It was super dark. And it just flew over a lot of people's heads. I mean, to be honest with you, it really did. And when you look at, Zack Snyder's Justice League, it was like Zack got a chance to see what people liked, what people didn't like, what people wanted more of, what people didn't want more of. And he and again, that's where, you kind of get into some of the compromises that were made for Zack Snyder's Justice League. But I can tell you this, the next Justice League movie that Zack Snyder makes, probably going to be dark as hell. I see Justice League 2 having more in common.
He'd have to Empire Strikes Back it, man. So yeah.
That's true.
That's what would happen. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 would have more in common with BVS than it does with Zack Snyder's Justice League, because it would be dark as hell, and like you said, it would be the Empire Strikes Back of his 5-film arc, guaranteed. And we know that for a fact just from all the things that have been released about what Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3 would be. So yeah, the second one would definitely be the darkest one in the series. And the truth says my top 3 Marvel are Iron Man, Winter Soldier, and Infinity War.
Ooh,
okay, that's
nice
not bad.
One. Yeah,
that's not bad.
Infinity
War was better. Infinity War was definitely better than Endgame. I'll tell you that much. I would watch Infinity War. In fact,
that end was so Zack Snyder. Infinity War.
Infinity War. That's what I'm going to say. I was going to say that, like, if you take, that would be like what WB is doing to Zack Snyder and to us right now is like how Marvel would be if they did the same. If Marvel did the same thing, where Marvel ended things with Infinity War and never made Endgame. Could you imagine? People would be release the next movie. I mean, could you imagine how it would be?
That would be awesome. Tom Holland's Spider-Man would still be dead.
Restore the Marvel, restore the MCU. It would be horrible. It would be that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, that's what they're doing. To not allow Zack Snyder to finish is essentially the equivalent of Marvel not releasing Endgame.
That'd be terrible.
And for me personally, I didn't care all that much for Endgame. I actually preferred Infinity War. And if they would have left things with Infinity War, I would have more respect for them. Honestly. Yeah.
Infinity War, the end battle was great. The rest of the film drug ass. I meant Endgame. Infinity War, the whole film was epic. That is the best Avengers Marvel team-up film they've made. It's better than Civil War, all those. That one is the only movie that has stakes and actually shit happens in it. And I don't know, as far as those go, that's actually, I think, the only Avengers movie I've watched more than twice, to tell you the truth, with them all teaming up and shit.
Well, this is the only Marvel movie I've watched more than twice. Fantastic Four, Roger Corman. Again, this is the movie. This is the Marvel movie for me. This is Marvel Comics. This is this Fantastic Four movie is like. You have those cheesy Fantastic Four comics from the 1960s and 70s. That's what this movie is. This movie is cheesy Fantastic Four 1960s, 1970s fare. It actually feels like it was made in the 1970s. It could have. It's probably the quality of the way.
Yeah, the $1 million budget probably really helps give it that feel.
It actually has the same feel, like it takes place in the same world as Bill Bixby's Incredible Hulk. I'm going to be honest. That's how I view it. And to me, I also like that classic Incredible Hulk series. So this movie kind of goes right along with that for me. So yes, absolutely. The Roger Corman Fantastic Four. That's where it's at for me. As far as Marvel
like the
goes.
Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk Daredevil movie? That one's pretty good.
Yes, I do. That was dope. That was dope. I even like
John Rhys Davies as Kingpin. They get a midget.
Oh my gosh! I liked all the Bill Bixby. I mean, even the cheesy one with Thor in it and the Death of the Incredible Hulk. I liked them all. I thought that was great. Those movies were really awesome. And it's funny to me because Incredible Hulk always felt to me as a series like it actually had stakes. Like things could actually happen, which was more than I could say for a lot of today's MCU movies, which is why I don't know. That's always been my favorite interpretation of the Incredible Hulk. And
are you a fan of the 1977 Spider-Man series?
Oh yes, dude. Are you
Or the
kidding me?
Jap-
I
and
love
the
that.
Japanese show. And the
Oh, I
Japanese.
love the Japanese show too. Oh my
the
god.
Japanese
Peter
show
Man
with
needs a
Megasaurus.
mess. Dude.
You are speaking my language. Nothing is better than sitting there on a Friday night watching the Incredible Hulk, watching the 1970s Spider-Man. I mean, are you kidding me? That's Marvel Comics on a level that is way better than anything they could put out today.
Well,
I in my opinion.
Nicholas Hammond and Bill Bixby were friends, and they were plotting his 70s Spider-Man to come back and be a part. And they really they connect the show with the Incredible Hulk movie and the TV series by bringing Nicholas Hammond back, but because of lots of different factors, including Bill Baxter's death, it just didn't get to happen, sadly.
Yeah. There was a lot of great things that were in the works. There was another movie that was supposed to come out after Death of the Incredible Hulk that was supposed to resurrect him. And it was I think it was supposed to be called Incredible Hulk Resurrection. And it didn't happen. Yeah, again, because unfortunately Bill Bixby had cancer and he passed away and they weren't able to do it. But they had plans to essentially create an MCU of that time, like what it was like.
It was ahead of the time.
A TV universe, yeah, and it was
Just
supposed
as long
to.
as they don't have that Captain America, though. The Captain America on the dirt bike, that was terrible.
Well, what about this Captain America?
Yeah, no, the one that you're talking about. Yeah, the Matt Salinger Captain America
all the
film
way.
So good.
I
All the
mean,
budget on those rubber ears.
on. Oh my god, we're talking about Albert Pune's masterpiece. Oh my god, that Captain America movie. I obtained a copy of the director's cut from Albert Pune himself.
There's a dark.
Dang.
And all I have to say is that movie, oh my god, it was great. It was like the Snyder cut of its time. It's wonderful.
God, you must share these gems with me. I need them for my collection.
Well, drop me a DM. I'll send you a link to my Plex server, and you should be able to access. I believe I've got it on there, if I'm not mistaken. But it's great. It's freaking great. Again, it's like the Snyder cut of its time. It's like a whole different animal. There's so much more to it. And the reason I say it's like a Snyder cut of its time is because the studio interfered so much with the movie that Albert was making. They cut it down and they cut so much out of it. You get so much more detail on the Red Skull. You get so much more detail on Captain America himself. It's fantastic.
What about the Red Skull's daughter?
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Red Skull's daughter.
Red Skull's daughter was happening in that movie, man.
And Baby Girl says, mine are Blade, the Incredible Hulk, and X-Men. Okay.
Nice.
What about the Daredevil director's cut? That's better.
It is.
It's a more watchable version of the film, but it's still a terrible movie.
Yeah, well, Midwest 93 here says I liked Ben as Daredevil. I did too.
Yeah, he was
I didn't
good.
hate the movie. I mean, I went to see Daredevil with my dad for the Ben Affleck one, and it was pretty decent. And then when the director's cut came out, the director's cut to me was much more fleshed out, was a much better movie,
and a story,
much more entertaining story. And I think
Bullseye and Elektra were just so terrible in that.
Oh yeah, Bullseye and Elektra kind of made it cringe. But if you really think about it, though, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, and it's at least as good as a lot of the MCU movies today. So I don't know.
The opening sequence of that film, him just fucking them dudes up at Josie's bar, that's legit Daredevil. But after that, the movie goes downhill really fast. But I think Ben played Matt really good. I think that the suit looked great. There were good things about the film. I just wish it was written a little better.
Michael Clark Duncan is one of the best things about that Daredevil movie for me.
He was amazing as Kingpin.
Yeah, he's an awesome Kingpin.
I hear great things about Vincent D'Onofrio, and I look at him and I say, yeah, that is how I'd like to see Kingpin on screen. But Michael Clark Duncan as well is like the alternative. If that's the alternative, it is a great one. He even says that they went over doing a new version of his origin off screen, where they would say, "Oh, this guy came from the Bronx," and he even mentions that before he starts beating Daredevil down. And I thought, this is a Kingpin I would love as an alternative version of the character. It's just definitive in its own right.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah, he was one of the stronger
Mark
parts
Steven
of the
Johnson
film.
was the director. Mark Steven Johnson was the director. Mark Steven Johnson was the director, right, of that film and Ghost Rider, correct?
Yeah, and Elektra, I
Yeah.
think.
I love Ghost Rider. But then
that was a problem. I think. Yeah, I mean,
that was the problem.
Directors right there.
Yeah. A better director, like, I don't know. Ben Affleck himself probably could have directed a better Daredevil movie.
He had enough love for the comic to do a good version of it. I mean, he is a huge Frank Miller fan himself. I mean, he fucking loves the Elektra saga. So I would have liked to seen what he could have did, because, I mean, he wasn't quite the artist he was yet at that point, but it would have been a nice early effort from him, I think.
Same with Jon Favreau, and Kevin Smith, I think, makes a cameo in the film. He could have even directed it, because he's written some Daredevil in the past.
Kevin Smith had a decent Daredevil run, so
yeah, Guardian Devil's pretty fun, to tell you the truth. It launched that whole Marvel Knight run of Daredevil, which was really classic.
Well, no, it's not.
I agree with Civil War was just,
wow, he left his own show.
Civil War was forced.
I'm in charge now. It is the Johnny Alpha show. Oh shit, he's back.
I am the law.
And I agree with you, Bell. Civil War was trash. Is trash. Yes, definitely. What else do we got?
Yeah,
here,
it brought us
guys?
Tom Holland Spider-Man.
I don't think that was
Yeah.
I honestly think we're going to do a Civil War movie down the line. They were just going to link out the Infinity Stones arc a bit longer, but because of BBS being a presence, they decided to rush it, cancel Captain America 3, which is a real shame. I would have loved to have seen that version as well of myself. I'd rather they called it the Libertarians.
Civil War was forced trash. Civil War was forced trash.
Civil War was painful to watch because it's supposed to be like this grand war.
I'm losing.
Supposed to be this grand war between this entire roster of all these heroes, but it gets boiled down to a movie of a fucking fist fight between 8 people in a parking lot, and like just they got colorful suits on. I'm like, dude, this isn't a Civil War. I actually jokingly refer to the movie as Civil Fist Fight. And because that's kind of really what it was, dude. It was a civil fist fight. And aside from Ant-Man becoming Giant Man for the first time, there wasn't really anything notable about the actual war part of the Civil War.
That was the Empire Strikes Back sort of homage there, with Spider-Man and Giant Man doing their thing. And I thought that was cool. But I agree with you. There's a lot of it that really sort of takes the film down from the praise that other people give it for me. Like I said, I think if they'd let it wait out a bit longer, if they didn't just fast track it because of BVS existing, it would have been a better film, because they would have introduced more people for it. And then we got Endgame and Infinity War, and it would have all worked out as well as it could have done. I think they had the momentum on their side.
Well, they rushed the Winter Soldier storyline. They brought in one of the greatest villains that they have, Baron Zemo. They barely used him. They made him a shell of a person. All he kind of did, like, they really brought him back. He's used really well and revived in the new show Falcon and the Snowman with the gun, or whatever it's called. But yeah, Baron Zemo is completely wasted. He was trash in the film. The whole thing, there's 6 other Winter Soldiers and they're scarier than Bucky, but oh, don't worry, they're all dead before anybody fucking gets there, with such the worst cop out, because you're like, okay, the fight in the parking lot's already over, and so Captain America's going to beat up Iron Man, and I don't know, it was just crap. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I didn't like either of the big superhero versus superhero movies that came out that summer, but like, I'd probably actually have to say that maybe BVS is the better film all around out of the two, and that's a weird take for me. But
planned beforehand, out of the two of them, when you look at it, there was more chance of the BVS film being more like an organic idea, while Civil War, though, may have been like an instant thought of saying we'll do that later on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they heard BVS was being made at the cost of Captain America 3. It's a real shame. And it adds to, like I said, about joking about the whole hookup thing, the scenario that Zod was talking about. It's why I think that they should have kept the Red Skull going if they needed to recast it, because Hugo Weaving felt like, yeah, I'm done with big budget movies. I've done everything I want to do. I'll just stick to indie flicks. Just recast him like you did in Endgame and just keep him as someone who is there in the background tinkering with everything, because, yeah, we know
He's
Thanos
very important. Yeah.
And with the Serpent Society, they could have brought in so many new villains. They could have opened up so many other things that they could have did. They could have kept Marvel street level before having to rush it into this cosmic shitscape that it's going to be rushing into. And another thing is like the whole, when Bucky became Captain America was a really neat thing, and they totally cut that out of it by having Baron Zemo out him before he could become Captain America. And I like that the Falcon's going to be Captain America. That's neat. That's from the comics. But I would have liked them to do the Bucky arc too, because that was such a really, really well written comic by Ed Brubaker, and it would have made a fucking neat TV show or movie of its own. And they just pooped all over it to rush out a new Spider-Man. Basically, that's all I got out of it. Introduced Spider-Man.
Honestly,
yeah. Yeah, they want the underwear. It's underoos, right?
Underoos.
No, I think the Spider-Man involvement wasn't a problem. That's hardly anything that's a flaw in the film. I think that's a great, decent attraction. But it's like you said, I think that was the thing they should have done, was keep the MCU street level for a time, and then throughout that time before they get to Infinity War and Endgame, while they have all the space stuff in the background, Guardians of the Galaxy, just sort everything out with Netflix and get that house in order. And just, I think there was a way they could have done it without it getting to where it has now, where everyone could have reaped in the rewards, and there didn't have to be such a divide between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all the other TV stuff, and the Netflix shows.
I hear you, but Netflix only kind of really hit home twice, man, with Daredevil and Punisher. The rest of their shows, I mean, I like Luke Cage a lot, but they're like, most of them needed a lot of help. Iron Fist, which was a really heartbreaker for me. He's one of my favorite characters. I was really excited for that, and there was nothing to that. That was just pure trash.
I heard from season 2 there was an improvement, though, and it's like
not terribly. Them switching the tattoos to other people, that never happens. That's just
a terrible idea.
Yeah, well, what about Jessica Jones?
At least they didn't try to switch her tattoo to somebody else and give her power, because
no.
Well, Bell Reeve says here, ZodWriter, you're more behind than me in my streams. Yes, I am. We've been going slow because I've been stopping on everybody's, trying to stop on everybody's comments. I'm skipping around a little bit here now because a lot of you are talking amongst yourself. So it's kind of, that's cool. But wow, what a great stream this has been. This has just been so much fun. And again, the fact that it's gone on as long as it has is amazing. We've covered so many different things here. I guess what I want to do now is I just kind of want to, get some final thoughts overall from all of you, because I'm going to have to go ahead and end the show at this point. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching and participating in the chat. It's been amazing. Anthony, I really appreciate that. You guys are all awesome. This has been so much.
We have the best chat on this fucking show, dude. To tell you the truth, you guys are always the highlight of a Tuesday night.
Oh, it's so great. So much fun. What's up, South Kelly guy? Nice to see you. Hey, Jesse Allen, how you doing? I'm so glad that all of you could come. This has been so much fun, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We'll go with you, Hugo. Anything you'd like to say to kind of wrap things up, man?
Well, I'd say I've really enjoyed the stream. It was great talking to you again, Zod. It's been great talking to you guys as well.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome anytime. Listen, Hugo, I do this all the time where I just put the link in the description for everybody to just jump in. Unless it's something where like me and Johnny, if we're interviewing interviewing somebody and it's got to be one-on-one or two-on-one, I automatically will just drop the link in the description.
And you know the comics and the characters, so you're welcome anytime. Like I can actually talk to you like deeper than I can most other people. So right on.
Yeah, man. So you're always welcome. You guys are always everybody is always welcome. It's fantastic. It's great. It's great having you here, Hugo.
I always can't get access to the source material.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, and let's see here, Ryan, what about you, man?
The only way I become a DC fan was a kid. It was because of the DC anime universe.
Okay. Okay, cool. And Neil Sevens says here, I still want the Snyderverse, but at this point, I kind of would rather wish Zack Snyder to go to a studio that would appreciate his talents more. Couldn't agree more. I agree 1,000%. This comment is perfect. Yes, this comment is perfect. Thank you so much for saying that.
Go to Netflix.
I can't think of a better. I can't think
Army
of a better
of the
comment.
Dead.
Yeah, I can't think of a better comment to end the show on, because that is exactly, in a nutshell, what Johnny and I have been saying for the last 2 weeks. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody who's here on the panel tonight. And Johnny and I will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.